Chapter 940. How did you know? Shi Shang snorted coldly. Lian Chen's lips curled up slightly. Was I right? So what if I was right? So what if I wasn't? Lian Chen raised his head. Since your highness doesn't want it, why are you doing this? Shi Shang walked slowly towards Lian Chen. For you. Don't you want it? I'll give it to you. How about that? Lian Chen pursed his lips and said bitterly, I don't want it. Some things were beyond one's control. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows. Don't you want to rebel? Could it be that I've received a fake mission? Yes. He did want to rebel. There was no way to refute that. But I don't want it. Then what do you want? Shi Shang's eyebrows were full of arrogance. I can give you everything in this world. Lian Chen. Why did he feel that this conversation was very strange? Had their positions been switched? It was obviously a very strange relationship, but he didn't feel it at all. It was as if this was how they got along with each other. She should be so arrogant and confident. Shi Shang leaned closer to Lian Chen and smiled faintly. I can give it to you too. You have no right to refuse this time. If it was in the past, she would have captured him and kept him when he first rebelled. Lian Chen's heart beat a little faster. The delicate fragrance on her body seeped into his heart and made him feel a little restless. The memory of that night seemed to have been liberated. Lian Chen looked away and his voice was slightly hoarse. Your Highness, why are you so obsessed with me? Because you're worth it. You're the person I've looked for in so many worlds. How can I not be obsessed with you? Your Highness, won't you regret it? For a person like him, Shi Shang took a step back and spread his hands. He looked around. Do you think there's any room for regret? She had already come this far. Could she overturn everything and start over again and pretend that nothing had happened? Lian Chen suddenly stepped forward and pulled Shi Shang into his arms. No matter if it's full of thorns or a mountain of knives or a sea of fire, I'm willing to accompany your Highness. Shi Shang silently curled the corners of his lips. If he hesitated any longer, she might use force. Lian Chen originally wanted to leave the palace and return to the Prime Minister's residence, but who knew that the people outside would not allow him to go out. He turned around to look for the Shi Shang. Your Highness, what's going on outside? Shi Shang answered without raising his head. From today onwards, you will live here. Your Highness, this is not appropriate. He and she did not have any status. If they lived together like this, what would the people outside say? I'm a gift right now. Shi Shang threw away the booklet in his hand. Or do you want to try being locked up here by me? Lian Chen. Why did he feel that his highness was turning dark? After a long time, Lian Chen finally spoke. This humble subject is going back to the residence to get some things. I'll go with you. Lian Chen refused. Your Highness, with your current status, it's not appropriate for you to leave the palace. I will come back. Shi Shang thought for a moment and said, What do you want? Ask the servants to get it. I don't want you to go out. Your Highness. They all know that I care about you. I won't let you out of the palace. You have to stay in my sight. Shi Shang's tone suddenly became firm. Just because they couldn't plot against her didn't mean that they couldn't plot against Lian Chen. All possible dangers had to be eliminated one by one. Lian Chen compromised. Then I'll have to trouble your highness to send someone to the residence to invite Zhao Yu. Shi Shang asked Xiao Xian to send someone to the Prime Minister's residence to invite Zhao Yu. Zhao Yu came quickly. The moment she entered, she winked at Lian Chen. What was going on? Lian Chen shook his head helplessly. Shi Shang took the things and walked out to give them some space. We'll have dinner in 2 hours. If he still hasn't left, I'll throw him out. Your Highness, this humble subject has never offended you. Zhao Yu was innocent. Why would he throw him out? Shi Shang's footsteps paused as she glanced at Zhao Yu and mouthed, Contraceptive soup. Zhao Yu immediately shut up. He did that behind Lian Chen's back. At that time, he wasn't sure of Lien Chen's attitude and didn't dare to make her pregnant. Lien Chen didn't see Shishang's face and naturally didn't know what she was talking about. He only felt that the atmosphere between them was a little strange. After Shishang left, Lien Chen asked, "What did she say to you?" "Nothing." Zhao Yu lowered her head and wisely changed the topic. "Ah Chen, you and Her Highness? She won't let me out." "You won't go out just because she doesn't let you out?" Why didn't he know that he was so obedient? This is a disguised house arrest. If that's the case, she won't let me see you. Zhao Yu scratched her head. That's true. After a few seconds, he suddenly reacted. "No, you're with Her Highness? Do you think I have the right to refuse?" He didn't doubt that if he had refused before, he wouldn't be standing here chatting with Zhao Yu right now. He would be locked in a small dark room. She's too fierce. How could a girl be so fierce? She even forced herself on him? Zhao Yu told Lien Chen about his progress. The situation in the capital was easier to control. After all, many of them were on the same side. As for the other places, it would take some time. Before Zhao Yu left, he asked again, "Do you plan to tell her about the poisoning?" "Let's keep it a secret for now," Lien Chen said. "We can't keep it a secret for long. With her reaction, she'll know as soon as the poison acts up. I think you should tell her and let her prepare in advance." Lien Chen frowned slightly. "Ah Chen, she's different from other girls. She can take it." The calmness she showed when she was poisoned was something he had never seen in any other girl. Even 90% of men didn't have it. Lien Chen muttered, "But she's still a girl." Zhao Yu didn't try to persuade him anymore. As a doctor, the patient should know their own condition. But as a friend, he supported Lien Chen's choice. During the meal, Shishang seemed a little absent-minded. She didn't even notice when Lien Chen glanced at her from the corner of his eyes. "Your Highness." Shishang put down his chopsticks. "What's wrong?" Lien Chen was a little nervous. "What are you thinking about?" She couldn't have found out about his conversation with Zhao Yu, right? Duanmu Qi and Yan Jinxiu are missing. She wanted to use her privileges to capture the two and then find someone to kill them. Who knew that the people she sent would come back and say that the two were missing? And the answer was completely different from what he expected. "Why are you so concerned about them?" He didn't have any impression of Yan Jinxiu, but he remembered Duanmu Qi very clearly. He had always been at odds with him. "Because I want to kill them." She hadn't even taken revenge for the original owner. No, the original owner's last wish wasn't to kill them. She wanted to destroy the country that she married into. Oh my God. He forgot such an important thing. Come. Vote. Monthly votes. It's the end of the month. Are you really not going to vote? Monthly votes can't give birth. Chapter 941. The Shishang wanted to conquer the Wei Kingdom. This was simply a random decision. The Wei Kingdom was far from the Jin Kingdom and was stronger than the Jin Kingdom. Moreover, there was the Qi Kingdom between them. How could it be so easy? A group of officials submitted memorials to oppose the Shishang's decision. Even Grand Tutor Qi, who had not been involved in court affairs for a long time, was pushed forward. Grand Tutor Qi could not refuse and could only dawdle to meet the Shishang. He just wanted to retire peacefully. Why did these people want an old man like him to persuade them? Your Highness, let me clarify something first. I did not come here willingly. Grand Tutor Qi's first sentence was to clear his name. The Shishang's mouth twitched. This Grand Tutor Qi was simply a weirdo. She took out a bag of melon seeds from her space. Grand Tutor Qi, you can go back now. Would I bend over for a bag of melon seeds? You're looking down on me too much. Grand Tutor Qi decisively stretched out 2 fingers. 2 bags. Grand Tutor Qi, I haven't settled the score with you from last time. Are you still trying to bargain with me now? She still remembered clearly how he had tricked her in front of the Emperor. Your Highness, I still have to come up with excuses to deal with those officials. You know that this is very troublesome for an old man, Grand Tutor Chi explained seriously. You're still alive and kicking. What kind of old man are you? This was the first time she had seen such an eccentric old official. The Shang was speechless and gave him the second bag. Grand Tutor Chi was somewhat regretful. If he had known that Her Highness was so straightforward, he would have said 3 bags. After sending Grand Tutor Chi away, the other officials naturally came forward to dissuade the Shang. If they had the ability, they would probably throw the Shang directly into jail. How could such a reckless person manage the country? However, they did not have the ability and could only submit memorials. The memorials in front of the Shang had already piled up into a small hill. In the end, some people even began to write in blood. When she rebelled, these people did not write in blood. Now that she was just going to conquer the Wei Kingdom, this group of people actually wrote in blood. Was the Wei Kingdom that great? I can kill you in a matter of minutes. If it weren't for the female lead's last wish, why would she go to the Wei state to cause trouble? Your Highness. Lien Chen picked up the booklets from the ground and arranged them one by one before placing them beside her. Why do you insist on going to war with the Wei state? What? You want to persuade me? Lien Chen stood at the side of the Shang. He lowered his head slightly, and his gorgeous clothes were on the ground. I'm just curious. There's no reason why I have to find one. Shang pondered for a moment. The name of the state of Wei may not be compatible with my horoscope. If an overlord wanted to destroy another power and unify the world, the only reason would be that the other party was blocking their way. All other reasons were nonsense. The corner of Lien Chen's mouth twitched. She was obviously talking nonsense. Did she think he couldn't tell? Shang propped up her chin and tilted her head slightly. Her gaze fell on Lien Chen's fair face. She suddenly reached out her hand and crooked her finger at Lien Chen. Lien Chen hesitated for a few seconds and slowly bent down. Your Highness. Shang tugged at his collar and pulled him closer to her. She smacked her lips on his face and slowly moved to his lips, rubbing them a few times. Lien Chen's breath caught and his eyelashes fluttered. Within a few seconds, he had taken control of the situation. Just as the two of them were about to lose control, Xiaoshuan's voice came from outside and pulled them back to reality. Lien Chen let go of Shang first and quickly turned sideways to hide the blush on his face. His voice was hoarse. Your Highness, I'll take my leave first. Shang pulled him back and said in his usual calm voice, You don't have to leave. Yes. Xiaoxian was used to Lien Chen being in Her Highness's presence. She quickly explained the situation and waited for Shang to finish before leaving. Ever since the rebellion, she had spent most of her time dealing with various matters. Don't think that you can order people around just because you're an emperor. Only those who have been emperors know how busy it is to sit in this position. She was so busy that she didn't even have time to cultivate feelings with Lien Chen. Prime Minister Lien, please help me. Shang looked at the pile of memorials in front of him with a headache. There were so many of them. How long would she have to go through them? How could she sleep with her daughter-in-law? Your Highness, this is against the rules. Forget it, burn them. Shang carried the pile of memorials and walked towards the burning brazier. Lien Chen was shocked. Your Highness. Shang turned around. You want to help me deal with them? Lien Chen didn't say anything. Shang directly burned all the memorials. The next day, some ministers came to ask about the memorials. Shang asked someone to burn them for warmth. All the ministers were dumbfounded. They had painstakingly written the memorials and she was using them for warmth? Jin's state was doomed. Naturally, no one could oppose Shang's decision. However, she didn't take any action. She only said that she wanted to destroy Wei State, but she didn't actually do anything. As time passed, everyone thought that she was just joking when they saw her like this. If she really wanted to conquer Wei State, she should have deployed her troops in advance, right? At the border of Wei State, a woman sat in the tea shed, holding a cup of tea and taking small sips. Her long black hair covered her face. Some people were scattered around, each of them vigilantly observing their surroundings. In the distance, a horse galloped over and stopped in front of the tea shed. The woman on the horse turned over and walked towards the woman. She cupped her fists and said, "Miss, they have agreed to meet us." The woman looked up and a familiar face appeared. It was the missing Yen Jinxiu. After learning that Shi Shang had succeeded in forcing her to abdicate, Yen Jinxiu led her people out of the capital. She had a feeling that she and that woman wouldn't be on good terms. Yen Jinxiu put down the teacup. "Have you made your demands?" "Yes, they have agreed." Yen Jinxiu narrowed her eyes. "Duanmu Zhongning, let's wait and see." Before Shi Shang made a move, Wei State acted first. They launched a sneak attack on the border of Jin State and lost the border city in one night. After that, Wei State seemed to have the help of God and won one battle after another. The news came back to the capital one by one. The ministers were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, but their Princess Royal was acting like a fatuous ruler. All day long, she was tinkering with strange things for that treacherous minister, Lien Chen. Lien Chen had become a great treacherous minister and a source of calamity. Lien Chen was speechless. He didn't want to either. Lien Chen had been impeached many times before, but most of them were about him doing some evil things. But now, these ministers were impeaching Her Highness who may. "Why haven't I seen you seducing me?" Shi Shang slapped the booklet in front of Lien Chen and lifted his chin. He said in a hooligan tone, "Come, let me see you seducing me." Lien Chen held Shi Shang's hand. His voice was soft, as if he was smiling, but it also seemed like there was nothing. "Your Highness, don't make trouble." Shi Shang pursed his lips. This group of people only knew how to lie through their teeth. This guy had never seduced her before. Bad review. Asterisk at 2000 hours. I was still writing my update. Oh, I'm going to die. Chapter 942. Lien Chen saw that Shi Shang didn't look too good, so he wisely pulled her into his arms and let her sit on his lap. "Your Highness, what are your plans?" The Wei State has already conquered 1/3 of the Jin State's territory. Shi Shang twirled Lien Chen's hair with her fingers. "I don't have any plans." "You're just going to let the Wei State do whatever they want?" If she didn't do anything, the Wei State would soon invade the capital. Shi Shang wrapped her arms around Lien Chen's neck. "Why? Are you afraid that once the Jin State is gone, your prime minister position will come to an end?" "Your Highness, you know that's not what I meant." Lien Chen lowered his gaze. "Even if the state is destroyed, I'll still accompany you. So I'm more important than the state." Lien Chen buried his face in Shi Shang's neck, smelling that familiar fragrance. He took a deep breath. "Your Highness is the most important thing in my heart." Ouch. Shi Shang gasped. She was not used to the pain on her neck. This idiot bit her again. Lien Chen slowly loosened his grip. The tip of his tongue swirled around his skin, licking the blood that had seeped out clean. Then he moved his tongue up his neck. His voice was intimate and flirtatious, and Shi Shang was drowned by his voice. After that, Shi Shang checked her shoulder. There was a circle of teeth marks and a red mark. Damn it, this idiot must be a dog. He always bites her. How infuriating. His warm body pressed against her from behind, and his strong arms wrapped around her. His warmth landed on the teeth marks on her shoulder, causing her to shiver slightly. "Does it hurt?" "Why don't you let I bite you?" Shi Shang said angrily. Lien Chen turned Shi Shang over and stretched his fair neck to Shi Shang's mouth. "Bite me. Get lost." She wasn't a dog, why would she bite him? Shi Shang lifted the blanket and was about to get out of bed when Lien Chen hugged her. "Where are you going?" It was still dark outside. Shi Shang took his clothes and put them on. "You didn't eat anything last night. I'll get someone to make something for you. You can sleep first." "I don't want to eat." He didn't feel hungry. "If you don't eat, do you want to ascend to heaven and become an immortal?" Shi Shang glanced at by Lianchen and rudely pressed him back into the quilt. He bent down and kissed the corner of his mouth. Stay here. Don't move. Lianchen. He might really become a source of calamity? According to the way she spoiled him, he had already begun to doubt whether he was a man or a woman. Although he found it strange, he didn't feel like he couldn't accept it. It felt like he was being pampered by her. Not bad. Shi Shang didn't leave for long. He soon returned with a pile of booklets. Shi Shang casually threw the booklets on the floor, picked up a few and brought them to the bedside. Guess what those people are doing outside? Lianchen propped himself up and sat up. The quilt slid down, revealing his sturdy chest. His fine black hair hung softly on his shoulders, covering half of it. Lianchen didn't seem to notice his posture and answered Shi Shang's question seriously, kneel outside. Shi Shang smiled. Smart. This was a common tactic used by ministers. They would kneel down and refuse to get up. It was as if forcing their immediate superior to compromise would bring them great achievements. Other emperors would fall for this trick, but not her. Your Highness, can't you tell me what your plan is? Shi Shang sat cross-legged on the bed, facing Lianchen. Do you want to know? Lianchen nodded. Shi Shang grinned happily. Kiss me. Lianchen. He leaned over and kissed Shi Shang on the cheek. The tip of his ear was slightly hot. Your Highness, can you tell me now? The Wei Kingdom broke into the city too quickly. It's obvious that someone provided them with the topographic maps of their cities and the deployment of their troops. Someone committed treason. Lianchen had also thought of this. He was sending people to investigate, but there were no results for now. Your Highness, do you know who it is? Of course. Shi Shang played with the booklets and said casually, Do you really think I've been teasing you all day? Lianchen. Wasn't that the case? He was with her almost every day, and he didn't see her do anything strange. She didn't even have any trusted aides. I'm not that unprofessional. Shi Shang snorted. Host, when did you become unprofessional? Your Highness, who is that person? Who else could it be? Yan Jinxiu. Other than the female lead, only the male lead had such great abilities. In the plot, the female lead would be forced to go far away and eventually join forces with the Wei Kingdom to attack the Jin Kingdom. This time, the plot was just brought forward. Your Highness, how do you know? You don't believe me? Shi Shang's eyes narrowed. Lianchen shook his head without hesitation. Your Highness, I'm just curious. He was curious about how she knew these things without using anyone. Forget it. Could she say that she knew because she used a plugin? Your Highness. Lianchen was slightly dissatisfied. Shi Shang raised his hands in surrender. I have my own way. Even if I tell you, you may not understand. If you really want to know, I can tell you. Lianchen stared at Shi Shang for more than 10 seconds. Your Highness, I'm a little hungry. Shi Shang tilted his head, and there seemed to be a smile in his eyes. It should be ready. I'll bring it over. She liked this trait of Feng Ci. Even if their personalities were different, he would never ask too much about her affairs. The two of them should have their own space when they were together. She rarely asked about his affairs. Even if she knew all the details, she wouldn't say anything if he didn't mention it. They maintained the same tacit understanding. She would only do something if his safety was at stake. Shi Shang went out and brought in the food. It was just plain porridge with a few side dishes. Shi Shang said jokingly, Do you want me to feed you? I'm happy to serve the Prime Minister. Lianchen put on his clothes. His ears were still hot, but his expression didn't change. I can eat it myself. Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and put the tray in front of him. Your Highness, you don't want to eat? You're a feast for the eyes. Lianchen. Yan Jinxiu helped the Wei state. She constantly had city defense maps in her hands, and the forces she secretly cultivated were attacking the city faster and faster. In just 2 months, The Wei state's flag had already been planted on 2/3 of the Jin state's territory. The current ruler of the Jin state still didn't react at all. The ministers knelt, and many of them fainted, but it didn't work at all. In the end, this group of people could only give up. They went home to pack their things and prepared to escape. There were also ministers who wanted to ask the former emperor, who had been enshrined, to come out of retirement. However, the former emperor's military power had been taken away by Shi Sheng. How could he come out of retirement without an army? The miserable fairy was still writing at 2107. Only one more chapter. I want to die. Quickly vote to comfort me. Quickly. Chapter 943. Miss, why are you feeling uneasy recently? Yen Jinxiu paced back and forth in the room. The maidservant behind her couldn't stand it anymore and asked, "It's going too smoothly. Something's wrong." Yen Jinxiu touched her chest. She always felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The news in the capital says that Duanmu Zhongning holds great power, but she didn't react to this matter at all. There's no one to command us. Isn't it normal for us to win? The maidservant didn't understand. No matter what, Duanmu Zhongning was a woman. Even if she held power, she wouldn't do anything. Of course, their miss was different. Yen Jinxiu murmured, "It's strange that she didn't react at all." "Miss, aren't you worrying too much?" The maidservant comforted Yen Jinxiu. "She's done many absurd things for Lian Chen recently. According to the news she received, she almost never left bright tranquil Palace Hall. She spent every night with Lian Chen." "I hope so." Yen Jinxiu suppressed the irritation in her heart. "How long until we reach the capital?" 3 months. Based on this speed, 3 months was already the longest time they could take to reach this place. "Tell them to be careful in case there's a trap." "Yes." Wei's attack speed was swift and fierce. The provisions followed behind. At this time, the majority of the troops set up camp to rest. Smoke rose in spirals from kitchen chimneys. "Someone's coming." The soldier on sentry duty outside reminded a few people who were dozing off. Then he shouted, "The military camp is an important area. Don't go forward." The figure in the distance didn't stop. It was still slowly approaching. The gorgeous color was very eye-catching. At first glance, they thought it was a girl. But when they got closer, they realized it was a man. He held a folding fan made of blood-colored jade. The folding fan was half open, revealing the black surface. The surface was casually sprinkled with dark red, like splashed blood. Several people were shocked by that face. That face was even more beautiful than the most beautiful girl they'd ever seen. "May I ask why young master is here?" People would always inadvertently let down their guard when facing beautiful things. Lian Chen's mouth had a faintly discernible smile. "His Highness said he wants to rob you." "Which Highness? Why would he rob them?" "What?" The soldier who asked the question didn't seem to understand Lian Chen's words and looked at him in confusion. Lian Chen closed his folding fan with a snap and pointed at the camp behind them with his fan. The few soldiers looked back at the same time. Thick smoke billowed into the air, and a clamor erupted. A few soldiers came to their senses and looked back. That gorgeous figure was nowhere to be seen. It was as if what they had just seen was an illusion. In the military camp, Shi Shang was surrounded by people. "Who are you?" Duanmu Zhongning, the eldest princess of Jin State. Shi Shang reported his name with a smile. "Nonsense." Someone immediately retorted. "She should be in the Jin Nation Palace now. Why is she here? Who exactly are you? Why are you opposing the state of Wei? In this world, no one would believe you even if you were to tell the truth. Humanity was no longer what it used to be." Shi Shang shrugged helplessly. "You don't believe me when I tell you the truth. Fine, I'm actually your ancestor." After saying this, Shi Shang threw the fire roll in his hand at the provisions beside him. The fire started and a heat wave swept over them. Shi Shang's action was undoubtedly a direct provocation. Kill her. Shi Shang took out his iron sword handsomely and waved it at the provisions that were burning fiercely. The fire fell from the sky onto the tents and burned them up. By the time everyone avoided the fire, Shi Shang had already set the fire and ran away. Shi Shang and Lien Chen stood side by side on the hillside in the distance, looking at the sea of fire below. Lien Chen's voice fell into Shi Shang's ears along with the wind. Your Highness, you can leave this kind of thing to me next time. No need. You just need to watch me show off. What was showing off? Your Highness, you don't have to be so strong. He could help her do a lot of things. She could try to rely on him. Lien Chen's heart ached slightly. It felt as if his heart was being held by a pair of invisible hands. He felt a little uncomfortable. Shi Shang gave him a sideways glance, her lips curling into a smile. How could I bear to dirty your hands? The person she held in her hands only needed to be as beautiful as a flower to look at. Lien Chen looked down at his hands. They were slender and fair with distinct joints. After a long time he said, Your humble servant's hands have never been clean. They're not worth your hands. Shi Shang placed his hand in Lien Chen's and interlocked their fingers. How can one be a king without bloodshed? How can one be a king without bloodshed? This sentence was not wrong at all. How many of those famous figures in history had clean hands? Lien Chen clenched his fingers and looked at the mountains in the distance. The luckiest thing that had happened to him in his life was meeting her. Shi Shang burned the provisions of the Wei Kingdom and headed toward the capital of the Wei Kingdom. On the way, he burned the provisions of the Wei Kingdom to the ground. She only brought Lien Chen with her and no one else. The two of them entered the capital of the Wei Kingdom easily and snuck into the palace. The battle was intense and they were about to enter the capital of the Jin nation. However, at this moment, there was an imperial edict to retreat. Not only that, the emperor of the Wei Kingdom also submitted a letter of surrender and voluntarily became a vassal state of the Jin nation. Once this news was out, everyone, including the Jin nation, was dumbfounded. The Wei Kingdom was about to win. Why did they surrender at this time? Was the emperor of the Wei Kingdom kicked in the head by a donkey? That was what everyone thought too. The emperor of the Wei Kingdom wanted to say that he did not have cat biscuits. The one who had cat biscuits was the eldest princess of the Jin nation. Not only did she blow up his palace, but she also threatened him. For the sake of his own life, how could he not agree? He didn't doubt at all that if he didn't agree, that madman would definitely blow him up into smithereens. She had such a powerful weapon in her hands. Who would dare to go against her? Regardless of whether others dared to or not, he did not dare to. The sudden surrender of the Wei Kingdom made their previous victories seem like a joke. The people in front had tried their best to capture the city, but the enemy had captured the leader first and would definitely succeed in one strike. They might have started the war in the wrong way. The most dumbfounded people were the ministers of the Jin nation. They did not know when Her Highness left the palace. It was as if she was still in front of them a few days ago, but in the blink of an eye, she had already arrived in the Wei Kingdom. Previously, she did not say a word and did not care about this matter at all. Who knew that there would be such a huge surprise? Actually, Her Highness knew how to clone herself, right? No. Her Highness was not around. This is a rebellion. Pui. Restore the country. ## New Year's benefits are being sent out # on January 25, 2017. The lucky cherub Yannan was selected. The selected cherub, please check the top post in the book review section, long review activity, to receive the benefits. On January 26, 2017, the question was, #Xia Xian rested a few times while filming the reality show #. Chapter 944. Yan Jinxiu had never expected such an ending. She had planned for so long, but the Wei Emperor's words were all for naught? How did that woman make the Wei Emperor surrender so easily? That wasn't an ordinary person, but the Wei Emperor. Miss, they are preparing to retreat. A maid came in from outside the tent. What do we do now? They had provided intelligence for the Wei Kingdom for so long, and now they were retreating just like that. Slap. Yen Jinxiu slapped the table, and the table instantly shattered. Her expression was ferocious. Where is Duke Anyang? Outside. Yen Jinxiu went out and found Duke Anyang, who was arranging for the retreat. Duke. Yen Jinxiu interrupted Duke Anyang. Miss Yen, I am very busy. We can discuss later, Duke Anyang said with a frown. Yen Jinxiu ignored his words and went straight to the point. She even questioned, Duke, you want to retreat just like that? Imperial brother has already given the imperial edict. What else can we do? He wanted to retreat when victory was at hand. Did she think he would feel good about it? Then all our efforts have been in vain? Those generals under your command who died in vain? Miss Yen, what do you want to say? He didn't need her to question him here. Yen Jinxiu spoke her thoughts. The capital is right in front. Let's attack in one go. Miss Yen, it's easy for you to say. This is defying the imperial edict. Besides, they didn't have enough food. Don't you understand that a general can't obey military orders in a foreign country? Duanmu Zhongning isn't in the capital now, and no one can command the troops under her control. They are in a state of disunity. Duke, you have a high chance of winning if you lead the troops into the capital. By then, the entire Jin kingdom will belong to your Wei kingdom. Will the emperor still blame you? Yen Jinxiu's words were very reasonable. Duke Anyang wavered. Let me think about it. He had put in so much effort, but he had to give up at the last step. How could he be willing? Yen Jinxiu knew Duke Anyang would agree in the end, so she didn't say more. She returned to her tent and let Duke Anyang think about it himself. As expected, in the evening, Duke Anyang gave the order not to retreat but to continue advancing. It didn't take long for the troops to reach the capital, but when they attacked the capital, they encountered strong resistance and suffered heavy losses. The other party was obviously prepared. Didn't you say that there was no one in the capital to command? Prince Anyang angrily found Yen Jinxiu. Wang Ye, Duanmu Zhongning really isn't in the capital. Yen Jinxiu was also a bit confused. If she wasn't here, then who was in charge? She didn't have any trusted subordinates around her. The only one who could be said to have a close relationship with her was that palace maid called Xiao Xian. However, she didn't know these things at all, so why would Duanmu Zhongning give the commander's seal to her? There are so many people in the capital. Can't she find someone to command them? He shouldn't have listened to this woman in the first place. Yen Jinxiu frowned. She took power by force. Why would those people help her? Your Highness, don't worry. My people will send the news soon. We don't have much rations left. If we can't take down the capital within 3 days, it will be difficult for us to even return to the Wei kingdom. Yen Jinxiu clenched her fists, and her eyes were firm. We will definitely take the capital. Prince Anyang glanced at Yen Jinxiu. This prince will believe you one more time. On the city gates of Beijing, Grand Tutor Qi sat in an armchair, cracking melon seeds and drinking tea. The generals in front of him were speechless. Grand Tutor Qi, can you say something? They were already fighting outside. Say what? Grand Tutor Qi blew his beard and glared. I'm already so old, yet I still have to torment myself with you young people. Do you think I want to? If it wasn't for the melon seeds, he wouldn't have come. Grand Tutor Qi, Her Highness has given the military power to you. General A was imposing. Since you can't command, then hand over the military power. Her Majesty will definitely record this merit for Grand Tutor Qi. I knew you brats came for the military power. Grand Tutor Qi continued to crack melon seeds. To tell you the truth, it's impossible. Grand Tutor Qi, whose side are you on? Her Highness was rebelling. As an old official, he was actually helping her. General B coldly questioned. Her Majesty treats you well. Why is Grand Tutor Qi helping Her Highness? Her Highness gave me melon seeds to eat. Grand Tutor Qi's expression was calm. Everyone glanced at the melon seeds in his hand. What was so good about this thing? He actually sold out Her Majesty for this? Grand Tutor Chi. Grand Tutor Chi waved his hand. Her Highness is about to return to the capital. If you don't want to be taught a lesson by Her Highness, then obediently do things according to Her Highness's orders. If the capital falls, you'll be the unlucky ones. All the generals. You're the commander-in-chief of this defense. Why did you remove yourself from this so cleanly? They had never seen such a shameless Grand Tutor. Since Grand Tutor Chi didn't hand over the military power, someone naturally had to use extreme methods. At night, just as Grand Tutor Chi fell asleep, someone snuck into his residence and prepared to assassinate him to find the military seal. Before the person could get close to Grand Tutor Chi's room, he was caught by a few people. In the room, Grand Tutor Chi turned over and sighed helplessly. When Her Highness returns, I must ask Her Highness to add melon seeds for me. This job was too difficult. His old bones couldn't withstand such torment. He had to raise the price. Not only were there assassinations, but there were also poisons. There were all kinds of methods. In the end, these people probably realized that they couldn't do anything to Grand Tutor Chi, so they could only give up the idea of reviving the country. They obediently followed the Shishang's arrangements and taught the group of people outside a lesson. After being angered by the Shishang and Grand Tutor Chi, they found a place to vent their anger. How could this group of people be soft-hearted and go all out? What's wrong with Her Highness's brain? There are all kinds of countermeasures. No matter what the other party came up with, they could find a countermeasure from the plans left behind by Her Highness. This was simply better than a military book. This made these people who led troops to war gradually convinced. At most, they could think of one or two countermeasures, but Her Highness directly listed out all the possibilities. Was she still human? If Her Highness was a man, it would be understandable for His Majesty to hand Jean over to her. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, Her Highness is a woman. What's wrong with being a woman? Why are you squatting here instead of going to war? Grand Tutor Chi's roar sounded from behind. Several generals immediately stood up. Grand Tutor Chi, if Prince Anyong's people don't attack, we don't know what to do. If they don't attack, you don't know how to counterattack. Grand Tutor Chi blew his beard and glared. He flicked his sleeve and threw the bright yellow imperial edict into the arms of one of the generals. Her Highness is right. You are a group of idiots. Grand Tutor Chi left angrily. The generals were dumbfounded. What was wrong with them? When they opened the imperial edict, they suddenly began to doubt life. Were they really stupid? Doubt life. Vote. If they didn't vote, would they wait for the new year? Tomorrow was the new year. It was time to vote. Chapter 945. The Jean State's counterattack caught Prince Anyong's men off guard. No matter what strategy they used, the other party was prepared and crushed them. If they couldn't win, they would retreat. However, a troop of soldiers was waiting behind them. It was a troop that Prince Anyong had never seen before. Tens of thousands of well-equipped cavalrymen appeared silently behind them. The outcome had been decided, and there was no need to continue. Prince Anyong was captured, and Yen Jinxiu ran away when she realized that something was wrong. Prince Anyong only realized that he had been used by a woman in the end, but it was too late. This should be the most satisfying battle we've ever had. After the battle, many people gathered together to discuss. His Highness is amazing. Yes, yes. When this is over, I must write up His Highness's strategy. When will His Highness come back? I don't know. Asked Grand Tutor Chi. Grand Tutor Chi was flying into a rage at a few idiots. The reason was that these idiots didn't see his melon seeds and threw them away as trash. Since Grand Tutor Chi was so angry, the others didn't dare to approach him. Although Grand Tutor Chi was usually easy to talk to, he was actually a hot-tempered old man. He even scolded them for being old and told them to respect the old and love the young, ordering them to do this and that. Grand Tutor Chi was only in his 50s and looked like a very young old man. He was lively all day and walked with vigor. When he shouted, he was full of energy. How dare he call himself an old man? After Grand Tutor Chi finished scolding them, they dared to approach him. Grand Tutor Chi, we despicably want to ask when His Highness will return to the capital. Grand Tutor Chi took out bags of seeds from somewhere and cracked them open. What does His Highness's return have to do with you? What, do you want to rebel? Everyone. If they wanted to rebel, they had to be instigated by someone. The ministers in the capital had been jumping around fiercely when His Highness had just left, but not long after, no one was jumping around anymore, and all of them settled down. The people of Jin State didn't return for a long time, but a group of people came. The state of Chen sent an envoy to submit a letter of credence, voluntarily becoming a vassal state of Jin State. After the state of Chen, the state of Zhao also submitted a letter of credence. Since then, Jin Nation had unified the world. However, the Jin Nation that unified the world did not have an emperor. Shi Shang didn't return to the capital until a month after the unification of China. Shi Shang took Lian Chen back to Jingning Palace like a thief. The next day, when Xiao Xian saw Shi Shang coming out of his room, she was completely dumbfounded. Your Highness. Down. What? Sure. Oh. Return. Come on. Of course. Your Highness. When did you come back? It took a while for Xiao Xian to find her voice again. She didn't even know that His Highness had returned. Last night. Shi Shang yawned. Go get something to eat. Lian Chen wants to eat when he wakes up. Xiao Xian. Your Highness, are you really treating Lian Cheng as a male pet? Even the Prime Minister accepted it. It was too strange. Xiao Xian shook off those strange thoughts and bowed. This servant will go right away. When Shi Shang returned to the capital, Grand Tutor Chi was the first to visit him. Accompanying him was a box of booklets. Your Highness, this old servant has to help you deal with these chores every day. Your Highness, when you left back then, you didn't say that you would be gone for so long. Shi Shang silently took out a few bags of melon seeds. Thank you for your hard work, Grand Tutor Chi. Grand Tutor Chi immediately beamed with joy. No problem, no problem. It's this old servant's honor to work for your Highness. After taking the items, Grand Tutor Chi didn't stay any longer. Your Highness, this old servant will take his leave first. Grand Tutor Chi left the main hall and met Lian Chen, who was walking over from the end of the hall with a bowl of porridge. Grand Tutor Chi's strong body trembled, and he respectfully called out, "Young master." Lian Chen walked past him without a change in expression, and his clear voice sounded slowly. Well done. The tension on Grand Tutor Chi's face relaxed. He waited for Lian Chen to enter before leaving Jingning Palace. Your Highness, it's time to eat. Lian Chen placed the tray on the table next to Shi Shang and took out the things inside one by one. You know Grand Tutor Chi? Shi Shang looked at Lian Chen thoughtfully. Lian Chen pushed the small bowl of porridge in front of Shi Shang. Grand Tutor Chi is my father's man. Shi Shang nodded to show that he understood and didn't continue asking. Lian Chen sat opposite Shi Shang. Your Highness, do you want to hear a story from me? Shi Shang held the bowl and drank the porridge. He asked vaguely, about who? The Lian family, me. Oh, then tell me about it. Lian Chen's grandfather used to be Emperor Chengyuan's study companion. Emperor Chengyuan was Shi Shang's grandfather, the father of her father. Lian Chen's grandfather and Emperor Chengyuan grew up together. They had a deep relationship and were as close as brothers. When Emperor Chengyuan inherited the throne, the entire imperial court was very unstable. There were many factions in the imperial court, and there were very few people he could use. As the emperor, he was almost a figurehead. Emperor Chengyuan and Lian Chen's grandfather tried many ways, but they couldn't take power. Later, Emperor Chengyuan proposed the idea of using violence to curb violence. He and Lian Chen's grandfather set up a trap and pretended that they were enemies. Lien Chen's grandfather began to develop in the direction of a treacherous official, but secretly worked for Emperor Chengyuan. Sure enough, the situation quickly stabilized. Emperor Chengyuan didn't seem to have much power, but in fact, he had all the power. However, after being the emperor for too long, he would always be suspicious. When he was middle-aged, Emperor Chengyuan began to suspect Lien Chen's grandfather. In order to dispel Emperor Chengyuan's suspicion, Lien Chen's grandfather accepted the woman that Emperor Chengyuan gave him. Not long after, he died in the hands of that woman. Not long after Lien Chen's grandfather died, Emperor Chengyuan found that the situation was starting to get out of control again. He had to secretly promote Lien Chen's father and train him to be the successor of Lien Chen's grandfather. The people of the Lien family were smart. Lien Chen's father knew Emperor Chengyuan's intentions, but Lien Chen's grandfather didn't allow him to take revenge before he died. The Lien family was loyal to Jin and the imperial family. Until now, when the emperor ascended the throne, he walked the same old path as Lien Chen's grandfather. The only smart thing was that he planted many of his trusted aides in Lien Chen's court. Perhaps he didn't want Lien Chen to end up like them in the end. Loyalty and evil didn't conflict. Shi Shang's mouth twitched into a smile. The emperor's family has always been so cold-blooded and heartless. Lien Chen smiled bitterly. He couldn't help it. He looked at Shi Shang and reached out to hold Shi Shang's hand that was on the table. His voice was somewhat cautious. Your Highness, I don't want to be an official. Are you willing to give up the position of the eldest princess for me and go far away? Shi Shang, I've already conquered the world, but you're telling I that you want to go far away? Damn, why didn't you say so earlier? You're poisonous. Your Highness, are you unwilling? Lien Chen was slightly disappointed. That's true. How can your Highness put down so many people for me? When are you leaving? Chapter 946. Prison. Prince Anyang sat on the ground with disheveled hair. His wrists and ankles were chained up with thick iron chains. Every time he moved, the chains rattled. Long live your Highness the eldest princess. Suddenly, an orderly sound came from outside. Prince Anyang's lowered head moved and looked out of the cell. A young girl surrounded by people gradually approached. Her eyebrows were delicate, and the corners of her mouth were slightly curved. Duanmu Zhangning. Prince Anyang grabbed the bars of the prison, his face full of hatred. Prince Anyang. Shi Shang's smile deepened. His calm voice sounded in the prison cell. Do you want to go out? What do you want to do? Prince Anyang stared at Shi Shang cautiously. Would she be so kind as to let him go? Let's make a deal. I'll let you go and you do something for me. Prince Anyang's suspicion grew. Humph, with your current status, what can't you do? Why do you need me to help you? There are things even immortals can't do, let alone a mortal like me. Just tell me, do you want to do it or not? A grown man dilly-dallied. Anyway, if he stuck his head out, he would be stabbed. What choice did he have to make? What do you want me to do? Shi Shang glanced at Xiao Xian. Xiao Xian immediately put the things in her hands into the prison cell. Prince Anyang reached out his hand and paused for a few seconds before picking it up and flipping through it. What enmity do you have with Yan Jinxiu? Did she have to kill her? That's not for you to ask. Think about it. If you agree, tell them and they will send you back to Wei. Shi Shang's eyes curved. Of course, don't think about not doing anything after you get out. If I can catch you once, I can catch you twice. Prince Anyang finally agreed to Shi Shang's deal. Prince Anyang hated Yan Jinxiu. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have been caught and wouldn't have fallen to this state. He could get out and get revenge. Why wouldn't he agree? Prince Anyang was the Wei Emperor's brother. The two brothers were very close. Even if Prince Anyang disobeyed the imperial edict, the Wei Emperor didn't hold him responsible. According to the information given by Shi Shang, Prince Anyang quickly eliminated Yan Jinxiu's secret forces. The information given by Shi Shang was very detailed. Yan Jinxiu only kept a small part of her power, but how could this little power be enough to go against the Prince of Anyang, who had the backing of the Wei state? It was a rainy night, and the sound of horse hooves broke the curtain of rain. "He's in front. Chase after him." Thunder rumbled as lightning hacked down from the sky. It was as if it wanted to split the heavens apart. It landed in the forest in front of them with astonishing momentum, and a huge fire immediately rose. The horse that was running at the front was startled. After a series of neigh, it began to gallop wildly. The person on the horse was jolted all over the place. In the end, he couldn't bear the weight and fell from the horse to the ground. The people behind quickly surrounded him and surrounded him in the middle. "Yan Jinxiu, you have nowhere to run," the man on the horse shouted. Whoosh! The rain washed Yan Jinxiu, who was on the ground. She was stabbed in the abdomen and could not straighten her body. She could only raise her head and glare at the people on the horse with burning anger in her eyes. "Who the hell are you?" The other party didn't answer Yan Jinxiu. He waved his hand and said, "Take her away." Yan Jinxiu couldn't resist and could only be taken away. By the time they arrived, Yan Jinxiu was already on the verge of death. Seeing the person standing at the door, Yan Jinxiu was clearly in disbelief. Her already pale face turned even paler. "Why are you here? He should be in the prison of the Jin state right now. Why is he here?" Prince of Anyang sneered. "Why can't I be here?" Yan Jinxiu's mind was in a mess. "You can't be here. Duanmu Zhongning. What did you do with Duanmu Zhongning? It must be that woman. Only she had such great ability. It's not your turn to ask me questions. Take her in." He must let this person have a taste of what it was like to be in prison. Yan Jinxiu looked at the door and kept shaking her head. She couldn't go in. Prince of Anyang hated her to the core. If she went in, Prince of Anyang would definitely torture her to death. But Yan Jinxiu didn't have the ability to say no. The door in her eyes contracted and then slowly closed, isolating her from the outside world. Shi Shang originally wanted to return the throne to the emperor as interest for her borrowing the throne, so she gave him the entire world. But after hearing Lian Chen's words, she didn't want to return the throne to him at all. Why should the person she cherished be treated like this by others? Shi Shang picked one of the princes and threw him onto the throne. "Royal sister, why did you choose me?" the prince asked Shi Shang with a frown. There were many princes who were more outstanding than him. He never thought that he would sit on this throne like this. "No reason. I randomly picked him." "What reason could there be?" "There's cat biscuits." "Royal sister, are you really leaving?" "Yes. You will always be the most honorable princess royal of the Jin state. The doors of the Jin state will always be open for you. Royal sister, you can come back whenever you want." Shi Shang waved her hand. "Be a good emperor. Don't be pulled down by others." She could give him the entire world, but whether or not he could keep it depended on whether he had the ability to do so. While Shi Shang was dealing with her matters, Lian Chen was also dealing with his matters. Lian Chen handed over all his power, leaving only the elite troops that had blocked Prince Anyang's escape route. As for what other trump cards he had in secret, no one knew. Zhao Yu sat at the side and watched Lian Chen tidy up. After a while she asked, "Is it worth it?" "It's not worth it. I just want to do it," Lian Chen answered softly. Some decisions were made according to one's heart. Her poison should be acting up soon. Zhao Yu was worried. "If you take her away now, it'll be bad for her. That's why I want to take her away." He didn't want some unimportant people to disturb her in her final moments. "Then you don't have to hand over everything." Lian Chen was silent for a while. "If she leaves, I'll go with her. There's no point in keeping her." "Ah Chen." Zhao Yu was shocked. "You?" Lian Chen looked at Zhao Yu. "Zhao Yu, you're free. You weren't like this before." He never thought that one day he would follow a woman to death. "You didn't care about my life or death before either." He used some tricks to recruit Zhao Yu. At first, He was disgusted with him and even spoke ill of him. Zhao Yu snorted and threw an item at him. This is the last thing I can help you with. If you can find Heavenly Dr. Xian Xin, you can use this to save her life. Zhao Yu turned to leave. When he reached the door, he paused. Chen, take care. Heavenly Dr. Xian Xin had always been a legend in the pugilistic world. Her medical skills could revive the dead. It was rumored that she came from Panglai Island and learned immortal skills. However, very few people had seen her. They only knew that she had appeared in a few places. Chapter 947. When Shi Shang left, he happened to hear the news that Duanmu Qi was preparing to rebel in a remote area. The new emperor needed someone to serve as a warning to others, and Duanmu Qi was just right. The little emperor sent people to encircle Duanmu Qi. Probably because he was afraid of Shi Shang, these people did not dare to deceive him and obediently carried out his orders. Duanmu Qi could not be compared to the entire world. The little emperor quickly eliminated him. The day he received the news, the little emperor rushed to Jingning Palace immediately. But Jingning Palace was deserted and there was no one in sight. He knew that the imperial sister who had unified the world with her own strength had left. Many years later, this Princess Chongning was still the only eldest princess of Jin. No one could replace her position. Jingning Palace had been empty for many years. Lian Chen bought a house in a small town with beautiful scenery and settled down with Shi Shang. Your Highness, do you want to eat? Xiao Xian stood behind Shi Shang and said worriedly, You haven't eaten lunch yet. Shi Shang only took Xiao Xian with him when he left. I'm not hungry. Shi Shang played with the folding fan in his hand. The blood-red jade handle in his hand looked even more crystal clear. Your Highness. His Highness had been eating less and less recently. She did not know what was wrong with him. Should she get a doctor to take a look at him? Where's Lian Chen? Shi Shang put away his folding fan and changed the topic. The Prime Minister went out with Yi Feng early in the morning. Where did he go? Shi Shang frowned slightly. Recently, Lian Chen had been missing for no reason. Xiao Xian shook her head. How would she know? The Prime Minister would not tell a servant like her about his matters. Shi Shang stood up from the chair. She felt dizzy for a moment. She held onto the table beside her and steadied herself for a while. When the dizziness disappeared, she slowly walked towards the door of the courtyard. With every step she took, her expression became more serious. When she reached the door, her body suddenly went soft and she fell to the ground. Your Highness! Xiao Xian exclaimed and hurried forward to help Shi Shang up. Your Highness, what's wrong? Shi Shang's face, which had been rosy just now, was now pale. Your Highness! Xiao Xian struggled to help the Shi Shang up and put him in a chair. Her face was full of anxiety. Your Highness, are you all right? Where do you feel uncomfortable? This servant will call a doctor for you. Shi Shang held her and said softly, I'm fine. Maybe I'm a little dizzy after sitting for too long. Your Highness? Little Xian obviously didn't believe him. Her face was frighteningly pale. Send me back to my room. Shi Shang released her and said tiredly. Yes. Xiao Xian hurriedly helped Shi Shang into the room. After Xiao Xian left, Shi Shang took off his clothes and revealed his green meridians from his collarbone to his chest. These green meridians had appeared a few days ago. At first, they were very shallow and could not be seen in the dark. But now, they were very conspicuous. Shi Shang slowly put on her clothes, her brows furrowed. System, can you scan this body? Shi Shang asked the system. After a while, the system replied, This is a side mission. Do you want to accept it? Accept your ass. I don't want my little tadpole to find its mother. If you don't accept the side mission, I can't give you the data. The system knew that she wouldn't accept the side mission, so it didn't release it before. Its intuition was right. Damn it. The retarded system was getting more and more arrogant. Where's I's sword? Host, calm down. Even if you dismantle me, I can only provide you with clues if you accept the side mission. You don't have the authority to view this information. Shang didn't know if it was her imagination, but she felt that the system was gloating. You can even tell that it's gloating in its electronic voice. You're amazing, host. This system is rejoicing in other people's misfortune. What can you do to this system? The master will be back soon. The system is not afraid of you. Shang didn't believe it. He took out her black tablet and tried it. Sure enough, it showed that the authority was not enough. Please try again after upgrading your authority. Shang bit her lip. What would happen if she destroyed the system? Host, you will disappear if the system self-destructs. This is not a joke. Host, please don't have such dangerous thoughts. The system was scared and hurriedly said, "What a joke." Shang sneered. "What joke? Host, please explain clearly." Shang ignored the system and blocked it, leaving it to its own thoughts. Shang propped up her chin and stared at her hands thoughtfully. There was no spiritual energy in this world. She couldn't use spiritual energy to check her body. The system didn't open a back door for her. It seemed that she could only find a doctor outside to check on her. Shang got up and left the room. Xiao Xian was in the kitchen doing something. Shang carried her out and found a miracle doctor on the street who was said to be very powerful. The miracle doctor took her pulse and had a very strange expression. Shang interpreted it and understood that it meant, "It's a miracle that you're still alive." Shang wanted to slap the miracle doctor, but she remembered that she hadn't activated her medical skill yet. She could only give up this impulse. "Miracle doctor, what's wrong with me? Can I be saved?" The miracle doctor shook his head and sighed. "Miss, please find someone else." "Then can you at least tell me what's wrong with me?" "Damn it, he can't be a quack." The miracle doctor looked at Shang with pity in his eyes. "Miss, please give me your hand." Shang looked at him strangely and thought for a while before reaching out her hand. The miracle doctor took out a needle and pricked Shang's fingertip. He squeezed out a few drops of blood and dripped it into the water beside him. He went outside to catch a rabbit and poured the water down its throat. The rabbit struggled for a while and stopped breathing. "Miss, your body is full of poison. It's a miracle that you're still alive." Shang silently looked at the rabbit. What the hell? Didn't Lian Chen have her blood on him? Why is he fine? This doctor must be a quack. Shang went to check on the doctor next door. This doctor couldn't even tell what was wrong with her. He was even worse than the first quack. Shang went back to the miracle doctor's clinic. The miracle doctor shook his head helplessly. "Miss, I really can't save you. Someone has touched my blood, but why is nothing wrong with him?" The miracle doctor was slightly surprised and thought for a while. "Can you give me your hand again?" Shang stretched out his hand. The miracle doctor checked her pulse for a long time. "Miss, have you been poisoned before?" "Yes." The miracle doctor seemed to be puzzled. He thought for a while and said, "The poison in your body has been suppressed for too long. The poison has been assimilated and lost its effect." The miracle doctor paused and suddenly said, "I have an idea. Miss, please listen to me. Fight poison with poison?" Shang continued. "That's right." The miracle doctor nodded. "I'll put it bluntly. Miss, you don't have much time left. This idea might be able to save your life. What kind of poison do you need?" The miracle doctor looked embarrassed. "I'm not very knowledgeable. It was lucky that I could tell that you were poisoned. I've seen your pulse before. As for what kind of poison you need, I don't know. But the poison you were poisoned with must be useful and dangerous. Miss, please be careful." Chapter 948. Aya. Xian Xian covered her mouth and giggled. Her hand stopped in the air and suddenly moved towards him. "I want you." Zhao Yu's expression froze. Xian Xian walked in front of Zhao Yu and said, "Junior brother, what do you think of this deal?" Zhao Yu looked at Xian Xian with a heavy face. He pushed Xian Xian away, and there was an unclear emotion between his brows. After a while, he said in a slightly sullen tone, "All right. In order to prevent you from running away, why don't we consummate our marriage first?" Xian Xian looked at Zhao Yu with a smile. "Xian Xian, don't go overboard." Zhao Yu immediately exploded. All right. Xian Xian waved his hand. "Put her in the room first. Brother, please prepare some things for me. Also, lend me your dragon feather snake." Zhao Yu was on guard. "What do you want?" "Don't worry. I won't do anything to a snake." Zhao Yu reluctantly handed the dragon-feathered snake to Xian Xian and left with the list that Xian Xian gave him. When Xian Xian was treating the patient, no one was allowed to be present. Shi Shang and Xian Xian stared at each other for a moment. Xian Xian took out a small bag. "Take it off." Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Why did her words sound so ambiguous? The treatment process lasted the entire night. Lian Chen stood outside all night. Xian Xian opened the door and came out looking exhausted. Lian Chen immediately went up to her and asked, "How is she?" "When I, Xian Xian, make a move, there is no one that I cannot save." Xian Xian looked at Zhao Yu, who was waiting outside, and handed him a new list. "Brew the medicine according to my instructions. 3 times a day. Don't mess up. Don't stop. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences." Lian Chen wanted to go into the room, but Xian Xian stopped him. "It's not over yet. You can't go in." Lian Chen frowned but didn't insist. He stood outside like a statue. Xian Xian glanced at him and walked to the room next door. "Where's my dragon-feathered snake?" Zhao Yu followed behind Xian Xian. "What's the rush? I will return it to you." Xian Xian rubbed her forehead. "Humph. You've always coveted my hornless feathered snake. Do you think I don't know?" In order to obtain this hornless feathered snake, he had almost lost his life. Xian Xian pushed open the door and went in. She turned around and said slowly, "Junior Marshal Brother, I've always wanted you. Do you really think I'm interested in the headmaster position? I forced you so much just to get you." Zhao Yu stared blankly as the door closed. He scratched his head in frustration. By the time Zhao Yu got her hands on his dragon-feathered snake, the snake had lost its luster and its aura was weak, as if it could die at any moment. Zhao Yu was so angry that she fought with Xian Xian. By the time Shi Shang woke up, it was already the afternoon of the 3rd day. The light in front of her was a little blurry. She tried for a while but still couldn't see clearly. "Your Highness." Lian Li's deep voice sounded in her ears. She felt someone helping her up. "Lian Chen, I think I'm King blind." Shi Shang raised his hand to rub his eyes. His vision was blurry and he couldn't see clearly at all. "Ah. The venom of the dragon feather snake hasn't been completely removed yet. It will be fine after a while." Xian Xian's voice came from a distance. Lian Chen's aura suddenly surged. Xian Xian hurriedly said, "It's useless for you to look at me like that. I'll be fine after the poison is removed." "When will it be cleared?" Let me think." Xian Xian pondered for a while. "About 2 or 3 months." Slap. "Hey, you don't know what's good for you. If it weren't for my junior brother, do you think I would save her?" "You win." Xian Xian's voice was getting lower and lower. She didn't know what Lian Chen had done. The room became quiet. Shi Shang felt something warm fall on her eyes. "Don't worry. I'll be your Highness's eyes from now on. It's not like it won't heal." Why did he make her feel like she was really blind? Lian Chen. His Highness was still the same His Highness. Shi Shang had been recuperating for a long time. It was normal for her to bump into doors, windows, and tables when she was walking. Usually, Shi Shang would get angry at this time. Lian Chen had to be patient and coax her for a long time. When her eyes were healed, the first thing Shi Shang would do was to fight with Xian Xian. That woman must have done it on purpose. Xian Xian was good at medicine, but not so good at martial arts. Before Shi Shang could do anything, Xian Xian had already lost. You two ingrates! How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? Xian Xian stared at Shi Shang angrily. Do you dare to swear on Zhao Yu that you didn't do anything to it? Shi Shang stared back. Xian Xian was speechless. She got up from the ground and patted the dust off her clothes. So what if I did? Then I can beat you up. It's okay. You're cuter when you're sick. Xian Xian looked at Shi Shang from head to toe. She was like a tiger with its teeth pulled out. She couldn't be fierce at all. She was so cute at that time. She wasn't as fierce as she was now. She was full of thorns. Shi Shang put away his sword and smiled evilly. I hope you'll never get Zhao Yu. Xian Xian. She was getting more and more annoyed. Shi Shang and Lian Chen's marriage went smoothly. They lived a peaceful life. In the end, Lian Chen was lying on the bed. He grabbed Shi Shang's hand and said in a weak voice, Your Highness, I'm here. Shi Shang lay beside him. Your Highness, I think I've seen you before. Lian Chen's eyes were cloudy. He murmured, I saw a lot of things. They were so strange. Do you remember anything? Lian Chen's eyes became dimmer and dimmer. He suddenly grasped Shi Shang tightly. Your Highness, I don't want to be alone. Shi Shang kissed him on the lips. I know. I'll be with you. Lian Chen's mouth slowly opened. He loosened his grip on Shi Shang's hand and let it hang down weakly. Shi Shang's hand froze in the air for a moment. He took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He took the watch from Lian Chen's hand calmly. See you in the next world. Shi Shang went back to the system space. The system refreshed the information without saying anything. It didn't want to talk to the host at all. No. It wanted to wait for its master to come back and teach the host a lesson. Humph. Name, Shirshing Moral Points, 300,000 Health Points, 35 Contribution Points, 56,000 Task Level, B Task Points, 72 Hidden Task, Complete Hidden Task Reward, 2,000 Contribution Points Side Task, Complete Side Task Reward, 0 Contribution Points Item List, Queen's Crown, Ghost King's Heart, Dark Knight, Kirin Bloodshire Shang. What do you mean by 0 contribution points? Why don't you give I contribution points? I didn't complete the side task? Host, I've warned you a long time ago. Don't be opportunistic. If you don't listen to the system, you'll suffer. Humph. Didn't I succeed in stopping Lian Chen in the end? But you also caused the chaos later. Not long after you left, several countries broke out in war. All of this was because of your forced unification. You blame me for this? Damn it. You gave birth to a baby in the hospital. Do you need the hospital to help you raise the baby? Congratulations to the host. Your moral points have exceeded 300,000. The desperate counterattack mode is about to be activated. Please be prepared. Shi Shang, desperate counterattack mode? What kind of strange function did you add in this time? The system wants to be a cold system. I won't talk. Asterisk the 28th world ended. I don't understand those people who think that Xian Xian wants to snatch my resignation. Ha ha ha. What a trick. Chapter 949. Zhao Yu had met Lian Chen when he was being chased. At that time, he had just left the sect and had the sect master's token. The senior brothers in the sect all wanted it. He had promised his master that he would take good care of the sect. In order to avoid being chased by his senior brothers, he could only leave. The youth had single-handedly saved him. When they first met, he thought he was a girl. At that time, he was wearing flowery clothes and had an androgynous face. When he didn't speak, he looked like a girl. Zhao Yu admitted that at that time, he was a bit moved. But when the other party spoke, That thought that hadn't appeared was smashed to pieces. So after he tried to recruit him, he didn't like him. He felt that he had used his face to trick him. He was the young prime minister. He did things ruthlessly and decisively. He didn't hesitate at all. The people in the court were wary at the beginning. Then, they became fearful. He had watched him climb to that position step by step. He knew the bitterness behind him. He knew the sorrowful mission of the Lien family. His attitude towards him slowly changed as they spent time together. He could be said to be the person who understood him the most in those years. He thought that he would continue to be so cold. Until one day, he had enough of this life and chose to rebel. But all of this was broken by the appearance of a woman. His rationality disappeared in front of her. That was a side he had never seen before. It was a bit unexpected. But it made him feel that he was more like a person. A living person with flesh and blood. Perhaps it was the right choice for him to be with the eldest princess. After they left, Zhao Yu returned to the sect alone. That year, one of the conditions Lien Chen had for recruiting him was to help him secure the position of sect master. After so many years, most of his senior brothers had been taken care of by Lien Chen. Only his senior sister Xian Xian was left. Xian Xian had been at odds with him since they were young. The only time she had helped him was when his senior brothers tried to stop him at the same time. She had helped him escape. But he hadn't seen her for a long time. Later, she had the title of Heavenly Doctor in the Jianghu, but there was still very little information about her. But he didn't think that when he went back, he would see his senior sister who hadn't appeared in many years. Zhao Yu was also shocked by the reason she came back. It was actually for the position of sect master. After that, Xian Xian kept fighting with him for the sect leader's token. Zhao Yu was annoyed with Xian Xian, but remembering that she had helped him before, he couldn't do anything to her. He could only hide in the prime minister's residence. This was the reason why he had not shown up when Shi Shang was bitten in the prime minister's residence. When Lien Chen said that he was free, he didn't know what he was thinking, but he left the sect leader's token to him and told him to look for Xian Xian. Perhaps the eldest princess could still be saved. Xian Xian was his senior sister, and she was once praised by his master as the most talented disciple. Xian Xian was right. Xian Xian's medical skills were definitely the best in the sect. Even the elders couldn't compete with her. However, Zhao Yu did not expect that Lien Chen would not only fail to find Xian Xian, but also send him a message, asking him to bring the dragon-feathered snake. That was the first time Zhao Yu had seen Lien Chen use a pleading tone. He left as soon as he received the letter. When he went out, he happened to meet Xian Xian who was looking for him. He made a deal with Xian Xian. As long as she helped him, he would give her the position of sect leader. Xian Xian's medical skills were better than his, and she was once his master's favorite disciple. There was nothing wrong with giving her the position of sect leader. However, when they arrived at the place, Xian Xian brought up another condition. At that time, he couldn't tell what he was feeling. His heart seemed to be beating faster, and he also seemed to be angry. At that time, Lien Chen glanced at him, but there was no other meaning in that glance. He agreed to Xian Xian's request entirely because of his own decision. Although he regretted it as soon as he agreed. Xian Xian took away his dragon-feathered snake. Xian Xian had been eyeing his dragon-feathered snake covetously, but in the end, she still tortured it. He suspected that Xian Xian had used the dragon-feathered snake for something else. Later, he got confirmation from Shi Shang. She only used the dragon-feathered snake's venom on Shi Shang, but Shi Shang saw her use the snake's blood. He didn't know what she did with the blood. Zhao Yu raised the dragon-feathered snake for a long time before it recovered. Do you plan to hold this snake for the rest of your life? Xian Xian leaned against the door, watching Zhao Yu stretch the dragon-feathered snake. Zhao Yu ignored her. Xian Xian watched for a while, then walked down the stairs and squatted beside him. Zhao Yu, when are you going to fulfill your promise? I've cured her. What did you do with the dragon-feathered snake's blood? Zhao Yu stared at Xian Xian. Xian Xian's expression changed, and she scolded, You talk too much. She really hated that woman. Zhao Yu saw that Xian Xen didn't say anything, so she carried the dragon-feathered snake into the house. Hey, Junior! Xian Xian wanted to grab Zhao Yu, but instead, she grabbed the snake's tail. The snake was hurt, so it turned and bit Xian Xian's hand. Zhao Yu was shocked. She looked at her hand, but strangely, the bite didn't change at all. It was still red. When bitten by a dragon-feathered snake, the wound would turn black immediately. Xian Xen quickly retracted her hand. Junior, this thing of yours bites. Do you want to change your pet? For example, mine. Your hand. Zhao Yu stared at Xian Xian's sleeve. Xian Xian didn't care. I can't even cure this little poison. How can I call myself a heavenly doctor? Xian Xian said it was fine, so Zhao Yu didn't ask anymore. She carried the snake into the house. At night, the more Zhao Yu thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. He got up and went next door to find Xian Xian. No one answered after knocking for a long time. Zhao Yu thought no one was there, and was about to leave when a soft moan came from the room. The sound was suppressed, as if someone was trying to hold it in. Zhao Yu hesitated for a moment, but still pushed the door open and went in. There was no light in the room, so he could only find the source of the sound. Xian Xian was curled up on the bed. Her clothes were messy, revealing her white shoulder. The moonlight shone on her shoulder, revealing a hideous wound. Zhao Yu's body froze. He stared at the wound in a daze. Back then, in order to obtain the hornless feathered snake, he went to the extreme north alone and found a newborn hornless feathered snake. He left with the dragon-feathered snake, but he didn't expect to be hunted down by the snake's parents. He couldn't deal with 2 adult dragon-feathered snakes at all. In the end, he abandoned the dragon-feathered snake, but the 2 adult dragon-feathered snakes didn't plan to let him go. At the critical moment, a masked woman appeared and saved him. However, because she had saved him, her shoulder had been slashed open by the icy peak. He didn't know what she looked like, but he remembered that he had personally bandaged her wound. He remembered that night, because she was injured, her body temperature was very low. In order to warm her up, he used a special method. But when he woke up, he was already back in the city. The baby dragon-feathered snake was in the bag beside him. She saved him? It's you. I've searched for you over thousands of miles, but you're already by my side. Zhao Yu. Chapter 950. Everyone knows that Qin Yu is good at solving cases. Asterisk, pitter-patter. The rain fell on the building in a cheerful rhythm. There seemed to be the sound of a police siren in the distance. It sounded muffled in Sheshang's ears, coming closer and closer. She felt as if she had been stabbed countless times. The rain soaked into her body like salt sprinkling on her wounds. She was in so much pain that her consciousness became more and more blurred. It was very dark all around. It took Sheshang a while to clear her vision. There was a dim street lamp in front of her head. It was flashing fast and looked as if it would go out at any time. Raindrops as big as beans fell, hitting her face and falling into her eyes. Waves of cold air invaded her body. Sheshang moved her fingers with difficulty. She slowly reached for her abdomen and touched the blood all over her hand. F***CK. Am I going to die as soon as I come here? Hey. You can't play like this. Sheshang slowly sat up with difficulty, holding her abdomen. Under the dim light, she could barely see the condition of her abdomen. She must have been shot twice. She was still able to move, probably because her vital organs were not hit. But if she was not treated for a long time, she would definitely die from excessive blood loss. Sheshang searched her body but did not find her phone. She only found a mini walkie-talkie, but it was broken. Sheshang took a deep breath. She could only save herself again. She flipped the table. What kind of desperate counterattack was this? Self-saving Shang was online. Sheshang stopped the bleeding first. As soon as she was done, she heard the sound of footsteps in the dark. It was very chaotic, as if someone was running away. Behind Sher Shang was a very long alley. There was no place to hide. She came face to face with the group of people. There were 6 people in total. All of them were strong men, dressed in black, with tattoos. Their expressions were ferocious. The only thing missing was the words, "I'm not a good person," written on their faces. The man running in front didn't hesitate to raise the gun in his hand and shoot at Sher Shang the moment he saw that there was someone there. The bullet flew through the curtain of rain. The space seemed to be frozen for a moment. Sher Shang was so angry that he cursed. He quickly took out a talisman from his space and stuck it on his body. An invisible barrier opened. The bullet hit the barrier and bounced back, shooting into the man's chest. Plop! The man suddenly fell to the ground. The people behind him couldn't stop in time and stepped on the man. The man's body twitched twice and closed his eyes unwillingly. The remaining 5 men didn't stop until they were done running. They were probably shocked by the scene of the bullet ricocheting back. At this moment, they all looked at the Sher Shang in a daze. Just now, what was that? Was this a fantasy? Sher Shang leaned against the pole next to him and shifted all his weight onto it. Then, he took out a gun from his inventory. She reached for her gun, and the 5 men raised their guns at the same time, aiming at Sher Shang. Sher Shang slowly loaded the gun. The dim light and the rain intertwined, blurring her figure. Her calm and composed appearance was simply looking down on them. Sher Shang was speechless. It was not that she did not want to speed up, but she could not. If she moved too much, it would affect her wound. It hurt. Bang! A man who couldn't hold himself back fired again. Just like before, the bullet hit the invisible barrier and bounced back. The speed at which it bounced back was faster than the speed at which it came out. It hit the man right between his eyebrows, and the man slowly fell to the ground. The remaining 4 men looked at each other and saw the horror in each other's eyes. This woman was strange. Was she a human or a ghost? The strange scene just now made them not dare to shoot casually, but they couldn't stay here forever. Should they run? Run. The 4 men made up their minds at the same time. Just as one of the men raised his foot, a bullet pierced through the air and hit the side of his foot. The man's body stiffened. The woman under the street lamp had a pale face and a sinister smile on her face. She looked like a demon from hell. You. Who are you? Sher Shang waved his gun in the air. Call 120. The man was confused. Why would he call 120? He shifted his gaze and noticed Sher Shang's abdomen. The abdomen, which was casually bandaged by Sher Shang, was now bleeding. She was injured. Bang! Another shot landed beside the man's foot. Another inch and his foot would have been gone. The man was probably enraged. He suddenly raised his gun and fired a few shots at Sher Shang. The result was obvious. The remaining 3 men didn't dare to act rashly. This woman was so King strange. You want to be shot too? Sher Shang looked at one of the men. The man immediately shook his head. His hand holding the gun was shaking. If you don't want to, call 120. Okay, I'll call. The man fumbled for his phone. 120. 120. What's the number for 120? The man was probably scared out of his wits. He asked such a funny question. It's 120. The man behind reminded him. The man pressed a few buttons on his phone screen. Hello. 120? We have people here who are injured. Come quickly. Where is this place? The man looked around. How the F*CK would I know where this place is? I don't know. If you don't come, someone will die. I said I don't know where this place is. The man spoke for a long time before he could describe the location clearly. I'll call. The man hung up. Can we go now? Sher Shang smiled. His voice was scattered by the sound of the rain. You can't go anywhere before 120 comes. The men were speechless. Could they still run away when 120 came? They wanted to run, but when they saw the gun in Shershang's hand and the bullet that had mysteriously ricocheted, they held themselves back. People were always a little afraid in the face of unexplainable events. Even the most evil of people. Please let us go. I've already called 120. They'll be here soon. There's no use for you to keep us here. The man begged Shershang in a low voice. Who knows if you made a fake call? When 120 comes, I'll let you go. The three men were speechless. How were they going to leave when 120 came? Shershang looked at them with smiling eyes. You can run away if you want, but you'll have to risk your lives. I can only shoot one person at a time. From here to there, 2 of you will cover the distance. 1 of you should be able to escape. So, do you want to discuss who will cover the distance? The 3 men were speechless. Was he asking them to discuss who should die? Was there something wrong with this woman's brain? No one wanted to be the scapegoat. The 3 men could only stand stiffly on the spot and stare at Shershang as if they wanted to skin Shershang alive. The 120 came a little late. Shershang felt like he was going to die from blood loss. A group of police officers came along with the 120. The doctor carried Shershang into the ambulance. Shershang only saw the men being handcuffed by the police. Then he fell into darkness. Asterisk case solving expert Shang is online. Chapter 951. This was a romance novel in the guise of a criminal investigation. After the original Qin Yu graduated from the police academy, her family arranged for her to enter the criminal investigation unit of the B City Bureau. Everyone in the police station knew that Qin Yu had a strong background. Coming to the criminal investigation unit was just a formality. When the time came, she would be transferred to the top. This was the current society. Everyone was used to it. In addition, Qin Yu was quite good-looking and had a sweet mouth. The people in the criminal investigation unit tacitly agreed that this rich young lady who did not do anything was staying inside. Usually, she only did some clerical work. She would only go to the field work that was not particularly dangerous. But at the beginning of the year, there was a serial murder case. The people in the criminal investigation unit could not solve the case. The director invited a man to help. This man was naturally the male lead, Hua Xiao. When the male lead appeared, would the female lead be far away? One of the victims in the serial murder case was the female lead's roommate. The female lead provided the police station with very important clues. Therefore, the female lead was targeted by the murderer. In the end, the female lead naturally helped the male lead catch the culprit. The female lead was originally a student of the police academy. Because of her merits in solving cases and her photographic memory and strong analytical skills, she stayed in the criminal investigation unit as an intern. Since the female lead came, the position of the original Qin Yu, the flower of the criminal investigation unit, was threatened. The female lead was not like the original Qin Yu who only did not do anything. Gradually, the criminal investigation unit began to dislike the original Qin Yu. When a girl found that her position was threatened, she would subconsciously show her sharp thorns to protect her position. The original Qin Yu would occasionally argue with the female lead. The female lead would often have a long speech, which made the original Qin Yu speechless. In the end, the original Qin Yu was even more unreasonable. In order to fight for her dignity, the original Qin Yu also began to participate in field work. But there was an accident when she participated in field work for the first time. Because the female lead acted without permission, a criminal gang was alarmed. This group of people fled towards the original Qin Yu. The original Qin Yu was alone at that time. She was a little scared, so she ran away and did not follow the instructions to stop them. After returning, she was given a demerit. The original Qin Yu could not understand. It was the female lead who acted without permission and alarmed the gang, causing the operation to fail. Why was she the one at fault in the end? This incident was like a catalyst that made the original Qin Yu target the female lead even more. The female lead has the male lead's help. Even if the original owner knows the 72 transformations, she can't do anything to the female lead. Not long ago, the Criminal Investigation Unit received a report that a body was found in a residential area. They found a large amount of drugs there. This case was obviously a big one. Soon, a special team was set up. The investigation process was not very smooth. The female lead had acted rashly several times, causing the team to come up empty-handed. However, the female lead's attitude was good, so everyone easily forgave her. In the end, she refused to change. The reason why the original host got into trouble was because the female lead acted on her own again and exposed her to the criminals. The original owner was shot to death in a deserted alley. When he was found, it was already the next morning. Although the case was solved, the original owner was dead. The host was unwilling. She hadn't done anything too outrageous to the female lead, so why should she pay for the female lead's impulsiveness? The original owner's last wish was to separate the male lead and female lead. She wanted to see what the female lead could do without the male lead's protection. Tearing apart couples was her specialty. This is great. Shishang didn't wake up until she received the plot. She was still lying in the intensive care unit. There were medical equipment all around her. Not long after she woke up, a doctor came in to check on her. Shishang couldn't speak. She could only look around. There was a woman standing outside the glass. She was covering her mouth and crying silently. Shishang blinked. The woman suddenly burst into tears. She covered her face with her hands and her shoulders trembled slightly. That was the original owner's mother, Lilan. Shishang stayed in the intensive care unit for 2 days before she was transferred to a normal ward. Lilan stayed by her side all the time and did everything by herself. To be honest, Shishang had experienced many worlds and met many bodies with mothers. However, Lilan was definitely the mother that left the deepest impression on her. It was said that when she was in the intensive care unit, Lilan fainted several times. She stayed outside all night, afraid that her daughter would die if she wasn't careful. Xiaoyu, the doctor said you're recovering well. Lilan touched Shishang's forehead. Her eyes were full of love. I'll take you home in a few days. You can rest well. Lilan's eyes stung when she said this. The doctor said that if it wasn't for her daughter's emergency treatment, she might not have been able to see her daughter again. Shishang opened her mouth. She didn't speak for a long time. After a while she said, I'm fine, Mom. My Xiaoyu is blessed. She'll be fine. Lilan smiled. The corners of her eyes were full of wrinkles. In the original owner's impression, her mother was a beauty. She took good care of herself and didn't have any crow's feet. Not to mention the white hair that peeked through her hair. The original owner's father also came to visit Shishang several times. However, because of his busy work, he didn't stay for long. However, he still took time out of his busy schedule to accompany her. She could tell that her father doted on her very much. The people from the Criminal Investigation Unit had also come, but they were just there to go through the motions. They asked about the situation at the time, and there were probably not many who were sincere. When she was discharged, it was already a month later. She didn't have to stay for so long, but Lilan forced her to stay. On the day of her discharge, the weather was good. Shishang and Lilan walked out of the hospital together. Qin Yi's father's car was parked outside. Why are you here? Lilan opened the car door and let Shishang in. She asked Qin Yi with a smile on her face. Didn't you say that you were busy recently? It's on the way. I'll take you home. Qin Yi touched Shishang's head. Xiaoyu, how are you feeling recently? Shishang wanted to raise her middle finger when she was still being patted on the head at this age. She held it in and answered obediently, Mom took good care of me. Qin Yi kissed Lilan's face in front of Shishang. It's been hard on you, my wife. Lilan glared at Qin Yi. It's not hard to take care of your own child. But you, I haven't been at home recently. You must not have eaten well, right? Shishang was stuffed with dog food. Where's I's sword? Bah. Where's I's feng ci? Only after the two were done being lovey-dovey did they remember Shishang, who was curled up in the corner like a backdrop. Xiaoyu, I've already told your dad not to go to the criminal investigation unit anymore. That place isn't a place for girls. Your dad has arranged a relaxing job for you at the city bureau. Shi Shang was shocked. If she didn't work in the criminal investigation team, how could she happily break up the couple? No, I'm doing very well in the criminal investigation team. I'm not leaving. Xiaoyu, you scared your mother to death this time. Listen to her. I'll arrange another job for you. Qin Yi naturally helped his wife. I didn't agree to let you go in the beginning. This time, no matter what, you can't go. Li Lan's attitude was firm. Asterisk hashtag Happy New Year hashtag may Chera be beautiful and healthy hashtag. Chapter 952. Li Lan was scared to death. It was understandable that she didn't agree. I know, but this was an accident. I will protect myself in the future. It will never happen again. Who didn't have an accident in that place? There was already one at home. Li Lan didn't want to send her daughter there. She shouldn't have agreed at the beginning. Otherwise, today's incident wouldn't have happened and her baby wouldn't have suffered so much. No matter what Shi Shang said, Li Lan didn't agree. Qin Yi naturally helped Li Lan. Shi Shang had a headache. Qin Yi was the director. If he didn't agree, she wouldn't be able to stay there. Shi Shang saw that the two still didn't show any signs of loosening up. He continued, Dad, didn't you say that we can't give up halfway? If I leave like this, what will those people in the criminal investigation team think of me? Xiaoyu, listen to your mother this time. Qin Yi was also scared. He hadn't slept well for a month. Shi Shang stared at Qin Yi. Henpecked husband. Qin Yi was helpless. No way. Your mother is the boss. Shi Shang insisted on going, Li Lan strongly disagreed, and Qin Yi was stuck in the middle, so he hurriedly left. Shi Shang kept pestering Li Lan at home for a long time. Finally, Li Lan had no choice but to agree. However, she asked Shi Shang not to go out in the field again. Shi Shang agreed. When she arrived at the criminal investigation team, Li Lan wouldn't care whether she went out in the field or not. Li Lan agreed. Naturally, Qin Yi's side was much easier to handle. Although Li Lan agreed, she still asked Shi Shang to stay at home for a long time before letting her go. Shi Shang always drove himself to work. His car was definitely the best in the police station. Even the director didn't drive such a good car. Therefore, as soon as the car went in, the police station knew that Qin Yi was back. After such a big incident, everyone in the police station thought that she wouldn't come back to work. At this time, they were surprised to see her car. Shi Shang parked the car and was about to get out when another car came in from the side. It was very fast and stopped in the blink of an eye. The body of the car happened to block her door. There was a problem with the design of the parking spaces in the police station. If it was too crowded, people would not be able to get out or get in. They would have to wait for the cars on the side to move away. Someone got out of the car. He was dressed in black and had a bag of documents in his hand. He closed the car door and was about to leave. Shi Shang rolled down the car window and shouted at the man's back, Hua Xiao. Hua Xiao turned his head and looked at Shi Shang with an expressionless face. The cold light in his eyes seemed to be able to freeze a person, and his entire body exuded an aura that prevented strangers from getting close to him. He had no desire to care about the missing person, Shi Shang. She was dressed in a proper police uniform and had delicate facial features. She looked young, like a student in her teens, but her expression was very serious. I saw the surveillance footage yesterday, and I found a few suspicious points. Do you have time? I want to talk to you. After speaking, the young girl noticed the smashed car next to Hua Xiao. A trace of surprise flashed across her serious expression. Mr. Hua, your car? Who was so powerful that they dared to smash this cold-faced demon's car in the police station? Hua Xiao took out his phone and sent a text message. He walked in with his long legs. Let's talk at the office. The criminal investigation unit occupied a large area of the office. Shi Shang hadn't come to work for more than a month, so her seat had become a place to pile up documents. Under everyone's various gazes, Shi Shang calmly walked to her seat and raised her hand to throw the documents on the ground. There was a series of clattering sounds, and the entire criminal investigation unit seemed to disappear at that moment. She was on leave, not quitting. These people treated her seat as a place to put documents. Was a place to put documents for decoration? Everyone. Why was Qin Yu's temper rising? Qin Yu, what are you doing? Someone came in from outside and saw Shi Shang's behavior. He immediately scolded her and broke the strange atmosphere. Shi Shang pulled out a chair and sat down. She said calmly, "I'm cleaning up my work area. Is there a problem? ## Happy New Year. Cherub #. Chapter 953. Huang Song rushed to Shi Shang in a few steps, his thin yellow face full of anger. These files are important to the team. Why are you throwing them around? Shi Shang glanced at him. This man used to pursue the original Shi Shang, so the original Shi Shang didn't like him. Later, when the female protagonist came, Huang Song became her follower. The original Shi Shang always targeted the female protagonist, so Huang Song disliked the original Shi Shang. Shi Shang put on an evil smile. You know these are important files. Is it really okay to put them in my work area? Huang Song was speechless. There was a special place for files in the team, but because everyone was busy, they didn't have time to put them in their place. Sometimes they needed to use them, so they just put them here. Whoever needed them could come here to find them. You didn't come to work before. We just wanted to use them. Why do you throw them around? Huang Song's voice became louder. He probably thought he was right. You don't help me clean up my work area, but you don't allow me to do it myself? Why don't you go to heaven? Shi Shang threw the last few files on the ground. These files shouldn't have been here. Even if she reported them to the higher-ups, she wouldn't be in trouble. You. Xiao Song, forget it. The others couldn't stand it anymore. They picked up the files and said sarcastically, Miss Qin has just been discharged from the hospital. Don't provoke her. We can't afford to take responsibility if something happens. Qin Yu used to be very popular in the police station, but since the female protagonist came, her life became more and more difficult. The people in the police station didn't like her at all. Who do you think you are? Huang Song glared at Shi Shang angrily. You think you're so great just because you have a backer? Do you think the police station is owned by your family? Stop talking. Let's move the files to the file room. Shi Shang didn't care about these people's sarcastic remarks and turned on her computer. There were 2 cases in the criminal investigation team, but Shi Shang was on vacation and didn't participate in them, so she was idle now. Shi Shang was bored, so he could only play games. The police station's network was intranet, so the speed was very slow. It was terrible to watch. Qin Yu, go and tidy up the information room. Shi Shang was about to speed up the internet when someone suddenly appeared beside her and put a stack of documents on her desk. Shi Shang's gaze followed the pair of hands and came face to face with a stern face. Especially the female lead. No. Shi Shang lowered his head and continued to type on the keyboard. It's not my job. According to the rules of the police station, whoever used the information should sort it out. What right did she have to do it? Do you think you can order me around just because you're the female lead? Dream on. We don't have time. Don't you have nothing to do? UAI's face was taut, and her pronunciation was perfect. If one didn't look at her slightly tender face, they would think that she was a person with rich experience. Shi Shang gritted his teeth and said, You can sort out the information you want. If you don't have time, do you think I have time? Can't you see I's busy? UAI glanced at her computer and saw that Shi Shang had killed a player. A few dialogue boxes popped up on the screen. You call this having no time? You even have time to play games. How could she play games if it wasn't right? How could you play games? UAI's expression became even more serious. Why can't I play games? She was a busybody. This is an intranet. You can't go online. The computers in the police station that could go online were all individual computers. They were different from the ones in the office. It's none of your business. How could such a small matter stump her? What a joke. Qin, you're violating the rules. Shishang didn't think much of it. Then go ahead and sue me. You. What's going on? Hua Xiao came out of his office and saw UAI standing beside Shishang's desk. He couldn't help but walk over. Mr. Hua, she's playing games. UAI pointed at Shishang's computer. Shishang raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at UAI meaningfully. The female lead had learned how to complain. This was too much. In the desperate counterattack mode, the plot was supposed to be delayed until the character she used died, but she didn't expect the main character to be even more frustrated. I'm not afraid that you'll be frustrated, I'm just afraid that you won't be frustrated. Let's cause trouble together. Hua Xiao looked at Shishang's computer screen. This woman smashed his car this morning and was now caught playing games. He had never seen anyone so arrogant in front of him. Hua Xiao looked at the man behind him. Let Captain He handle this. You come with me. UAI asked reflexively, where are we going? Hua Xiao didn't say anything and walked out. UAI looked at Shishang and finally chose to follow Hua Xiao. He Xian was a middle-aged man. He looked like an amiable person, but he was actually very cunning. He Xian walked over to Shishang. Xiao you are, your injuries haven't healed yet, right? The team can approve your leave. Why don't you go back and rest before coming back to work? I'm fine. Then you can't play games in the office. It's against the rules. He Xian knew that the daughter of Shishang's boss's boss was very tactful. Oh, then you'll get a demerit. Shishang continued to play games. If there's nothing else, Captain He, please don't disturb me. He Xian. These children of officials were really difficult to deal with. After such a big incident, they still dared to come back to work. He Xian couldn't do anything to Shishang. He could only run to his boss and tell him that if anything happened, he wouldn't be responsible. Not long after, Shishang received a call from Qin Yi. He was concerned about her situation here and then scolded her for violating the rules. In a place like the police station, one could say that it was very serious, and one could say that it wasn't. Shishang was taught a lesson, but nothing happened. Qin Yi was not corrupt. On the contrary, he did a good job when he was in power. His only weakness was that he spoiled his daughter too much. This kind of setting was obviously that once Qin Yi committed a crime, he would jump out to help her. In the end, he would be pulled down. Shishang silently closed the game on his computer and took out his phone to play. When He Xian came back, he saw that Shishang was not playing games. He was relieved. It seemed that the boss was still useful to deal with these children of officials. After work in the evening, Hua Xiao and UAI didn't come back. They were doing a burglary case. The victim was an old man who lived alone. His son was outside and sent him a large amount of alimony every month. All the money in the house was stolen. The old man died inside. The cause of death was a blow to the head. According to the investigation, it should be that when the old man and the robber were fighting, the robber accidentally pushed the old man down. The old man's head hit the ground and died. It was said that there was some progress. The two of them probably went to look for clues and cultivate their relationship. The setting of this novel was a bit interesting. Both the male and female protagonists had facial paralysis. The two of them had facial paralysis together. The picture was too beautiful. This baby couldn't bear to look at it. * monthly votes. Pleading for votes. Together, the tickets could encircle the earth. Chapter 954. Shishang was about to get off work when Huang Song suddenly rushed in. Brothers, let's go. Mr. Hua has found the suspect. The people who were about to get off work immediately grabbed their things and left with Huang Song. Shi Shang's plot was getting more and more blurry, so she didn't know who the murderer was. She thought for a while, then followed the people's car all the way to the east of the city. The east of the city was still the old city area, so there were more alleys. The criminal investigation team's car drove to an alley and couldn't continue. They had to get out of the car and run through the alley. Shi Shang got out of the car a step too late and was blocked by a vendor. When she reached the alley in front, the people were gone. There were only alleys that extended in all directions like a spider web. Shi Shang put her hands on her hips, pouted, and blew. She took out her phone from her pocket and hacked into the criminal investigation team system. The criminal investigation team used a set of systems. There was an online walkie-talkie. The people at the police station could hear it, and the people with walkie-talkies could also hear it. Shi Shang figured out the direction they were running in from their conversation and chased in that direction. Shi Shang passed through 2 alleys and saw a police officer. He was lying in ambush around the corner with his back to her. Bang! The gunshot was very sudden. The police officer who was lying in ambush immediately rushed out. There were a few chaotic shouts and gunshots. A man stumbled around the corner and bumped into Shi Shang. He covered his bleeding arm. When he saw Shi Shang, his expression became fierce. He pointed the gun at Shi Shang with his uninjured hand. Before he could say anything, his wrist cracked. The gun in his hand fell to the ground and slid under a bicycle. Shi Shang bent her knees and bumped into the man. She grabbed his hand and pressed him against the wall. The police officers behind them caught up. When they saw Shi Shang subduing the vicious man, they all had strange expressions. After a while, someone came forward and handcuffed the man. "Qin Yu, why are you here?" "I was just passing by." Shi Shang wiped the blood on his hands with a tissue. His eyes fell on Hua Xiao and Uai in the distance. Uai was injured for some reason, but it didn't seem to be very serious. Most of the female lead's injuries were due to impulsiveness. "Isn't your home in the west of the city?" The police officer who asked the question was very puzzled. How could he pass by the east of the city? "Can't I have relatives in the west of the city?" Shi Shang rolled his eyes at the police officer. The police officer was speechless. Why does he feel that Qin Yu's temper has become more and more irritable after a month of not seeing him? Was it the aftereffects of the injury? The police officer felt that he should not argue with the injured, so he silently took the man away. "Why is she here?" Hua Xiao looked at Shi Shang with obvious displeasure in his eyes. No one would like a woman who smashed his car and was so arrogant that she wanted to soar into the heavens. Qin Yu said he was passing by. The police officer who heard the question was the one who had asked the Shi Shang just now. He immediately responded, "But it's all thanks to her. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to catch this person." As the one who caught the suspect, Shi Shang had to go back with them, but he still needed to search the crime scene, so he had to wait. "Xiao Ai, don't be so impulsive next time. You don't have a gun on you. What if something happens?" Huang Song and Uai were standing together and talking to her. "He wanted to run at that time, so I didn't think too much about it." Uai still had a serious expression on her face. Uai found the suspect first. The suspect wanted to run, and Uai wanted to stop him, but she didn't expect that the suspect had a gun. If Hua Xiao and the others hadn't arrived in time, Uai would have been dead by now. In Shi Shang's belief, no matter what he did, he always put his own interests first. Once it involved danger, he wouldn't do anything that he wasn't 100% sure of. Shi Shang lowered his head and played with his phone while listening to Uai and Huang Song's conversation. His facial expression kept changing, and in the end, he couldn't listen to it anymore. He silently moved to the side. "Qin Yu, help me take this upstairs." Huang Song suddenly handed a box to Shi Shang. "You didn't call me. I'm not going." Shi Shang refused without raising his head. "I'm going to watch from below." "Can't you take it upstairs since you have nothing better to do?" "No." "Do you think you can order I around to do errands? I'm someone who can earn millions every minute." Huang Song's face darkened. Qin Yu, how can you be so unreasonable? He was really blind to have liked her before. After Shi Shang finished a round, she lifted her head and smirked. It's time for me to get off work. I don't even get paid for helping you guys catch the suspect, yet you want to order me around? Are you going to pay me? Damn you, idiot. I'll go. Uai stood up. Huang Song immediately refused. How can you do that? You're injured. I'll take it upstairs. Xiao Ai, you keep an eye on the ground. I'll be back soon. Uai nodded. Huang Song glared at Shi Shang angrily, then took the box and walked towards a small building not far away. Shi Shang glanced at Uai, then silently moved away a little. If he didn't stand with the female lead, he would be unlucky. Uai. What's with that expression? Is it disdain? But it doesn't seem like it. Her eyes are very calm, and there are no other emotions. Uai felt that the current Qin Yu was completely different from the Qin Yu in her memory. Some people would completely change after walking on the edge of life and death, but she. How should she put it? It gave her a dangerous signal. But she couldn't tell the details. Xiao Ai, Mr. Hua wants you to come up. Huang Song waved at Uai from upstairs. The injury on Uai's arm wasn't serious, so she went straight upstairs. Shi Shang waited for about half an hour downstairs before the people upstairs came down. They found some belongings in the suspect's residence, which indeed belonged to the deceased. But they didn't find anything else. When they returned to the police station, the group of people had very serious expressions. The arrested suspect was interrogated that very night. The suspect insisted that he had picked up the belongings, and he even said where he had picked them up clearly. The suspect was a gambler who owed a lot of debt. When he picked up the belongings, he immediately exchanged them for money. Because there was some expensive jewelry in the belongings, the police had already posted them on the internet. The buyer recognized the jewelry and called the police. Hua Xiao followed this lead and found the suspect. The suspect didn't go to the deceased's place at all. When the deceased died, he was at the gambling table, and someone testified for him. There were no fingerprints on the recovered jewelry, so this lead was broken again. Mr. Hua, the suspect should be a woman. Uai had mentioned this point before, and Hua Xiao didn't deny or agree. In order to be persuasive, Uai projected the video on the big screen. The video was at night, and the pixel quality was like an AV. Uai walked to the front and pointed at a black figure. She's wearing a raincoat, so I can't see her figure, but look at the way she walks. It's different from a man's. The black figure was at least 1.75 meters tall. There were very few women who were so tall. In addition, she was wearing a raincoat, so there was no way to see her figure clearly. It was normal for people to mistake her for a man. Chapter 955. Shi Shang stood outside and watched their discussion through the transparent glass. The video on the big screen froze at one point. Shi Shang rubbed his chin. It seemed that solving cases was quite fun. Host, don't stir up trouble. Shi Shang wouldn't be Shi Shang if he didn't stir up trouble. Shi Shang returned to her seat and typed furiously on the keyboard. Soon, a video of what had happened inside appeared on the computer screen. Inquan Community. Shi Shang was munching on sunflower seeds and looking up at the old community. There weren't many people going in and out of the community, and it looked a little desolate. Bah! Shi Shang spat out the sunflower seed shell and walked into the community. There was no property management in this kind of old community, so it was easy to get in. Shi Shang took out his phone and matched the floor and the house number before knocking on the door. A young woman opened the door. She looked at Shi Shang warily. Who are you looking for? Shi Shang's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. Police. Shi Shang used to be a bad guy. Now that he could enjoy being a police officer, he was very happy. He had to show off. Police. The woman frowned and looked at her strangely. You don't look like a police officer. This girl was dressed very fashionably. She looked like a police officer in every way. Are you a bad guy just because you look like one? It was very rude to judge a person based on their appearance. It was also a very stupid thing to do. The woman shook her head slightly and said warily, "Can I see your ID?" Shi Shang took out his ID from his pocket and handed it to her. The woman looked at it for a while before returning it to him. "What can I do for you?" Shi Shang glanced inside. "Is Su Xiaoxue here?" The woman was relieved when she heard that he wasn't looking for her. "Xiaoxue hasn't woken up yet. I'll go get her. Her name is Su Xiaoxue. 2 weeks ago, someone saw her meeting the victim outside the community." Uai handed a stack of documents to Hua Xiao. Hua Xiao flipped through it casually. "What's her relationship with the victim?" Uai paused for a moment and said with a straight face, "Father and daughter. We've seen the children of the deceased. Where did this Su Xiaoxue come from?" Huang Song raised his hand and asked. "The deceased had an extramarital affair 20 years ago." Uai slowly told him what she had found out. When she finished, Hua Xiao stood up and said, "Let's go to Su Xiaoxue's residence." When they arrived at the police station, they saw Shi Shang, who hadn't come to work for a day, walking toward the police station with a woman. The woman was still in her pajamas, and her messy hair covered her face. Her body was trembling slightly, as if she was very afraid. The woman walked in front of them and raised her head, revealing a face that they had just seen. Her voice was choked with sobs. "I'm here to turn myself in." Everyone. They hadn't even gone there yet, and the suspect had already delivered himself to their doorstep? Everyone couldn't help but look at Shi Shang. Shi Shang crossed his arms calmly and asked, "What are you looking at?" "Qin Yu, you're not in charge of this case." Uai spoke first. Her tone was very official. "Isn't it our duty to catch the real culprit?" Shi Shang said seriously. If it weren't for her bad record, the system would have believed him. Uai retorted righteously, "But this isn't your case. You're violating the rules. We'll investigate this matter. You just have to do what you're supposed to do." Shi Shang sneered and said indifferently, "I've already brought her back. If you're not convinced, let her go back and catch her again." Uai. What was that supposed to mean? Shi Shang violated the rules and investigated the case without permission. Naturally, he was punished. However, he did find the real culprit and made up for his mistakes. In the end, the case was not pursued. Su Xiaoxue was the product of an extramarital affair. Her mother was originally a young lady from a city, and by chance, she got together with the deceased. Later, Su Xiaoxue was born. The deceased hid it very well. For so many years, no one knew that he had an extramarital affair and had a daughter. When Su Xiaoxue was old enough to know that she was the child of a mistress, she gradually hated the deceased. She was rebellious and often asked the deceased for money when she was in school. At that time, Su Xiaoxue's mother was still alive. Every time she asked for money, the deceased would give it to her. Su Xiaoxue was addicted and asked for more and more money. However, after her mother died, the deceased stopped giving her money and told her not to come to him again. However, after Su Xiaoxue pestered him for a long time, the deceased would still give her money. He was also afraid that people around him would find out about this shameful affair. In old age, people paid more attention to their reputation. However, Su Xiaoxue's desire grew bigger and bigger, and the amount she asked for exceeded the deceased's expectations. He stopped giving her money. Su Xiaoxue went to the deceased several times, but the deceased refused to give her any more money. Su Xiaoxue was so angry that she wanted to kill him. She felt that her current situation was all because of the deceased. If she wasn't the child of a mistress, she might have lived a happy life, like those children from ordinary families who had parents and a happy family. The case wasn't difficult. It was just a coincidence that it rained that day and the surveillance cameras in the residential building were broken. External factors made the case more difficult. After the case was closed, Shi Shang was asked to write a 1,000-word self-criticism. She knew how to dig a hole, but how could she write a self-criticism? What did she do wrong? Was it wrong for her to catch the real murderer? No way. Shi Shang pushed the keyboard away, picked up his things, and was about to get off work. Suddenly, it was dark in front of her. Hua Xiao's tall figure blocked her way. Qin Yu. Hua Xiao was holding a file in his hand. His face was expressionless, as if someone owed him 8 million yuan. Shi Shang put his phone in his pocket, turned off the computer, and said in a bad tone, "What do you want?" The male protagonist suddenly came to her. She was scared. He must be up to something. Hua Xiao threw the file in front of Shi Shang and said coldly, "Pay up in 3 days. Otherwise, this file will be sent to Director Qin." Shi Shang blinked and opened the file. Inside was a damage assessment of the car and some compensation. Shi Shang threw the file back and smiled. "I'll say it again. I don't have money. If you have the ability, you can go and smash my car. King retard. If you don't block I's way, I won't smash your car. Now you want I to pay you money? No way. Not even a crack in the wall. You think I don't dare?" This woman provoked him again and again. Did she really think he didn't dare to do anything to her? Shi Shang pouted and blew at him. "Go on then." Hua Xiao narrowed his eyes and said ambiguously, "Very good." Hua Xiao took the file and left. The atmosphere around him was so tense that even UAI didn't dare to provoke him. Shi Shang put one hand on the table and the other on his waist. He watched Hua Xiao leave in a domineering manner. After a while, he looked away. "Qin Yu, come to my office." Xian stood at the door and called her with a bad expression. Chapter 956. Shi Shang followed Xian into the office. Xian talked about Shi Shang's violation of the rules for a long time before finally getting to the point. "Xiao Yu, how did you find out that Su Xiaoxue was the murderer?" Shi Shang rolled his eyes. "I found out. How can I calculate? I'm not a scammer." "Where did you find out?" The police always cared about legality, but this time, Qin Yu had obviously violated the rules. If she hadn't caught the murderer, she would have been suspended. "Does it matter where I found out?" Xian said seriously. "We need to ensure the legitimacy of the evidence." This was the system. If the evidence was not legitimate, then it would not be valid, and some criminals would get away with it. But the evidence for this case was provided by Su Xiaoxue herself. She came here to turn herself in. What does that have to do with the evidence? Shi Shang spread his hands. "I'm just the person who persuaded her to turn herself in." Xian. What he said made sense. Then he changed the question. "You're not in charge of this case. How did you get the information?" Shi Shang said innocently. "I didn't take their information. I found it myself. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Why would I need the information of those idiots?" Xian's face was full of suspicion. "You found it yourself? How did you find it?" Shi Shang took out his phone, tapped on it a few times, and put it in front of Xian. It was a file containing the victim's life and relationships. There were also many charts and data that Xian couldn't understand. Su Xiaoxue's information was in a separate folder. It was very detailed. "These things. Where did you get them from? They didn't have such detailed information. I just need to do something." Shi Shang put away his phone. "Captain He, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first." "Do something? How?" "Qin Yu, I'm telling you, don't mess around. This is not a place for you to fool around." Xian raised his voice. Shi Shang opened the door and looked sideways. There was a faint smile on his face. "Captain He, don't worry. Even if I did something against the rules, you won't be able to find any evidence to do anything to me." Xian. What did she mean? Was she telling him that she was up to something bad? Xian and Shi Shang's conversation took some time. When she went out, it was already evening. Shi Shang went to the parking lot and found that her car was stuck inside. There were no cars parked outside, and moving a car couldn't save her stuck car. This trash parking space. Bad review. Why didn't I notice that there were so many police cars in the police station? Since he couldn't drive, Shi Shang could only go out on foot. Shi Shang stood outside the police station, looking at her phone. The light on the screen reflected her slightly ugly expression. It was not rush hour, but there was not a single car in sight. Are you kidding me? Did the car drive into the black hole? Shi Shang waited for a long time before a car arrived. He learned from the driver that there was a car accident ahead and the road was blocked. That's tragic. Everyone in the car is dead. I heard that there was a child in the car. He was only 7 or 8 months old. The driver kept talking about what he had seen. Shi Shang went in one ear and out the other. He pretended not to hear anything. Because the road was blocked, they had to take a detour. It was almost 10 o'clock when Shi Shang got home. Li Lan was waiting for her in the living room. As soon as she entered the door, Li Lan stood up. Baby, you're back. Why are you so late today? I took a detour on the way back. Dad hasn't come back yet? Li Lan looked upstairs. He just answered the phone and went to the study. You must be hungry. Mom will bring you something to eat. Go and wash your hands. Shi Shang nodded and went to wash her hands. When she came out, Qin Yi was holding his clothes and going downstairs. Are you going out again? Li Lan came out of the kitchen and saw Qin Yi's posture. She frowned slightly. Qin Yi winked at Shi Shang, strode to Li Lan and kissed her eyebrows. There are a lot of things going on in the station recently. My wife, please bear with me. When I'm done, I'll accompany you. In the end, he added, and Xiao Yu. Shi Shang. She was a third wheel. I refuse to eat this dog food. Be careful. Although Li Lan's expression was a little reluctant, she still told Qin Yi. Got it, my wife. Qin Yi put on his clothes and left. Not long after he left, Shi Shang received a call from He Xian asking her to go back and work overtime. Shi Shang refused to work overtime. So when Shi Shang went the next day, he found that he suddenly didn't understand the world. She might not be awake yet. Should she go back and sleep again? The whole police station was full of all kinds of boxes. It was a mess. Everyone was looking down at the documents. It seemed that they hadn't slept all night. He Xian saw her with his sharp eyes and shouted, Qin Yu. This shout startled those who were dozing off to raise their heads and look at Shi Shang. Everyone in the department was working overtime, and she was the only one sleeping at home. Some people felt that it was unfair. So what if she had a backer? If she didn't want to work, she should have stayed at home. Why did she come here to work? Shi Shang walked to He Xian's small team. Yuai and Hua Xiao were both here. They had probably been here all night. Captain He Xian gestured for her to sit down and said to the others, Continue. Shi Shang listened for a while and understood that they were talking about the car accident last night. Shi Shang also saw the news on his phone last night. The accident happened at a traffic light not far from the police station. A bus ran the red light and hit a normal car. There were 3 people in the car, a driver, a woman, and a baby. All 3 of them were dead. It was a traffic accident, but the identity of the woman and the child was very eye-catching. They were the wives of Dong Chun, the president of Dong's Enterprise in B City. Dong's Enterprise was the leader of B City and ranked among the top in the country. At this time, their Mrs. Dong and young master were killed in a car accident. Dong Chun couldn't believe it. He didn't believe that it was an accident and asked the police to give an explanation. The police's initial investigation found that it was a traffic accident. The responsible party was the bus. It ran the red light and hit the car. But Dong Chun didn't believe it. As a celebrity, he accused the police of being perfunctory in front of the media. The celebrity effect had always been the biggest. The police didn't want any negative news, so they could only investigate again. However, The results of the second investigation were a little surprising. They found a letter sewn in the child's swaddling clothes. The content of the letter was very short. People who have fallen into sin are trying to wash away their sins with new life, but they don't know that they follow them like shadows. There was an R signature after this sentence. The last letter was the one that caught the police's attention. The R was signed in a very special cursive style. This cursive style used to be a nightmare for the police station. Asterisk, I suddenly want to be stuck here. Ha 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 ha. It's over. I must have been poisoned. Chapter 957. About 15 years ago, there was a man who called himself who committed more than 10 crimes in the name of the messenger of justice. The police spent a lot of money and resources to track this R. However, the police were always one step behind R. They didn't even know if I was a man or a woman. In the end, they were set up by R and lost several colleagues. R disappeared and never appeared again. The police investigated for a while but couldn't find anything, so they could only seal the file. Now, after 15 years, R appeared again. The police took this matter very seriously. Now, their entire department was focused on this case. Shi Shang stared at R's signature for a long time. He didn't look away until Xin finished speaking. Xin was calling out names and assigning tasks. Qin Yu and UAI will investigate the victims' interpersonal relationships. Xin pointed at Shi Shang. Shi Shang refused instinctively. No. Something bad will happen if I stay with the female lead. I won't do it. Stay away from the female lead and cherish life. Xin stared at Shi Shang seriously. Qin Yu. I'm the captain. I'll follow your orders. UAI will come with me. Hua Xiao, who had been silent all this time, spoke up. Xin. He still had the guts to scold Shi Shang, but he didn't dare to scold Hua Xiao at all. He could only assign UAI to him. Xin assigned Shi Shang an old criminal police officer who looked quite mature. Everyone called him Old Zhang. He joined the police in the same batch as Xin, but because of his quiet personality, he didn't get promoted. Let's go to the Dong family first, Old Zhang said as he packed up. Xin assigned them the task of investigating the victims' interpersonal relationships. I'm not going. Shi Shang sat in his seat and played on his tablet. The background music of the game drifted into Old Zhang's ears. Old Zhang. The host used to be an idle rich girl in the police station. Even if she was assigned a task, it would be completed by someone else in the end. Then I'll go by myself. Old Zhang didn't complain. He glanced at Shi Shang and left with his things. Almost everyone left. The whole office was quiet, and only the background music of the game was left. Old Zhang came back in the evening. Shi Shang was still in his seat. He wasn't playing games. He was eating melon seeds. Shi Shang glanced at Old Zhang and asked calmly, "What did you find out?" Old Zhang shook his head. The victim's interpersonal relationships were very simple when she was alive. She got pregnant not long after she married Dong Chun. She had been taking care of the baby at home and had no enemies. The chauffeur had worked for the Dong family for several years. He was usually very nice to people and didn't make any enemies. We still need to investigate the people who had contact with the deceased. Shi Shang concluded. In other words, there's no useful information. Although Old Zhang didn't want to admit it, it was true. The mission belongs to you and Brother Zhang. Why didn't you go? UAI looked up at Shi Shang. UAI came back earlier than Lao Zhang. When she heard Shi Shang's question, she felt that it was unfair for Lao Zhang. The two of them were on a mission, but she was alone in the office. It's none of your business whether I go or not. Shi Shang rolled his eyes at UAI. UAI stood up immediately, her tense face angry. This concerns a human life. How can you be so casual? Otherwise, can I die for them? There was definitely something wrong with this female lead. Old Zhang saw that the atmosphere was not right and quickly tried to smooth things over. Forget it, I can do it alone. Xiao AI, stop talking. Brother Zhang. Old Zhang waved his hand, indicating for Yu AI to stop talking. Yu AI met Shi Shang's teasing gaze, and the anger in her heart burned even more. They did this job to restore the truth and redress the grievances of the people. A person like her was simply an insult to this profession. Yu AI glanced at old Zhang, who sighed and shook his head. Yu AI moved her lips and sat back down with a frown. Shi Shang smiled and didn't say anything else. He continued eating melon seeds. Old Zhang returned to his seat and tidied up today's things. The others from the police station came back one after another. He Xin asked everyone to enter the meeting room for a meeting. The others didn't make much progress. Other than the letter found in the baby's swaddling clothes, everything else looked like a traffic accident. Mr. Hua, didn't you find anything either? He Xin looked at Hua Xiao. No, Yu AI answered for Hua Xiao. He Xin then looked at Old Zhang, his gaze sweeping over Shi Shang. Old Zhang, what about you guys? We. Lu Fan, male, 45 years old, from City Y. He was sentenced to 10 years for manslaughter. After he was released, he used a fake identity to be Dong Chun's chauffeur. Shi Shang interrupted Old Zhang and said slowly, on the night of August 23rd, Lu Fan received a text message asking him to meet at this place. Wait a minute, where did you get this? Yu AI's question was also what everyone else was puzzled about. This girl had been in the office all this time and only went out for a meal halfway. Where did she get this information? Old Zhang was also dumbfounded. He didn't know about this at all. The chauffeur he found didn't have so much inside information. Did he meet a fake chauffeur? Do you want to listen to me? Shi Shang raised his eyebrows and looked at He Xin. Or do you want to investigate it yourself? Yu AI. Go on. Shi Shang shifted to a more comfortable position. The person Lu Fan went to meet was obviously very cautious. There were no surveillance cameras at the meeting place. You can only ask Lu Fan about what they talked about, but it's obvious that Lu Fan isn't innocent. Evidence. He Xin emphasized the word evidence. These things couldn't be solved by just saying. Shi Shang tapped on the tablet a few times and a few pictures immediately popped up on the big screen. Lu Fan has a mother who is seriously ill. He needs a lot of money. This is the medical list for Lu Fan's mother. It can be seen that before the 25th, the treatment was conservative. But from the 25th, the hospital has been preparing for the operation. Shi Shang swiped his finger and the pictures on the big screen changed. The cash flow under Lu Fan's name. A large sum of money entered on the 25th. He's just a chauffeur. How can he have so much money? Of course, it's also possible that he bought a lottery ticket and won the first prize. Lu Fan used a fake name. His card here was also opened with that fake ID. Naturally, the police didn't find anything fishy. Shi Shang closed the picture. What are the rest of the pictures? He Xin quickly asked. He clearly saw that there were a few more pictures. Shi Shang spread his hands. You need to investigate what I said just now to know what the rest is. There was too much information. These idiots were confused. Most importantly, she hadn't finished investigating the rest of the pictures. How could she say such things out loud? Asterisk hashtag thank you Cherub for your New Year's greetings hashtag please vote. Hashtag it's the end of the month. I can vote now. I've already saved it for the new year. Hashtag. Chapter 958. Captain He, can we trust what she said? After Shi Shang left, these people raised their questions. He Xin was also a little uncertain. Mr. Hua, what do you think? He Xin looked at Hua Xiao. Hua Xiao's slender fingers tapped on the table. We can investigate Lu Fan. Now, other than the letter, they had nowhere else to start with. He Xin thought about it and nodded. Huang Song, take 2 people with you to investigate Lu Fan. The rest of you continue to investigate the previous cases. Sort out the old files as soon as possible so that everyone can familiarize themselves with them. Xian was silent for a few seconds. His expression became serious and his voice was low. I want to remind everyone that if we really meet our 15 years ago, you have to be prepared. R is an extremely vicious person. It's not too late for someone to back out now. Everyone looked at each other for a moment. UAI was the first to step forward. Captain He, I won't back down. Since a young girl had already expressed her stance, how could the others dare to back down? Xian waved his hand. Okay, the meeting is over. Everyone left the meeting room one after another, but Hua Xiao didn't move. He stared at UAI, who was packing her things, his gaze deep and probing. Mr. Hua, is there something on my face? UAI picked up the documents and met Hua Xiao's gaze fearlessly. Hua Xiao stood up and put one hand in his trouser pocket. He looked down at UAI. What feud do you have with R? UAI's pupils contracted slightly. After a moment she said, Mr. Hua, it's my duty to catch criminals. Is that so? Yes. Hua Xiao strode out of the meeting room. UAI hesitated for a few seconds and chased after him. Mr. Hua, don't you think the source of Qin Yu's information is suspicious? According to her colleagues in the bureau, she had gone out for lunch today. It had been less than an hour. Where did she get so much information from? What do you think? Mr. Hua, it's precisely because I don't have it that I'm asking you. Hua Xiao didn't reply and walked forward with his head lowered. UAI frowned. Mr. Hua, ever since the incident last time, Qin Yu's behavior has been particularly strange. Hey! A crisp voice came from the side. What's the point of talking about me behind my back? If you have the ability, come and talk about it in front of me. UAI's expression stiffened. She looked at the pantry next to her. She never thought that her words would be caught red-handed by the person involved. Shi Shang looked at her with a half-smile. Miss Yu, you can ask me directly if you have any questions. I won't tell you anyway. Hua Xiao also stopped and looked in her direction. There was a complicated look in his eyes. UAI blurted out, Where did you get this information? It's none of your business. The smile on Shi Shang's face deepened. Why should I tell you? These policemen in the police station basically had their own informants. As long as the evidence was confirmed to be legal and valid, the police had the right to protect the informant's privacy. UAI opens her mouth. At the bottom of her heart, she is only wondering where Qin Yu got this information. After all, the impression Qin Yu gave her before was that of an unreasonable rich young miss. UAI, Hua Xiao called out. Let's go. UAI's stiff body immediately leaned towards Hua Xiao. The tense expression on her face relaxed slightly. Just now, she couldn't say a single word in front of her. It was not because she had nothing to say, but because she had an aura about her. Just like the aura on Hua Xiao that could make people shut up invisibly. But compared to Hua Xiao, her aura was more obscure, difficult to understand, and also more frightening. After investigating Lu Fan carefully, they found that this person was just as Shi Shang said. He had been in prison before and had a seriously ill mother. After asking the doctor, they found out that Lu Fan had paid all the hospitalization fees and even hired a caretaker for his mother. The contract was as long as 3 years. In other words, he knew that he would die long ago. This was a premeditated murder. Mr. Dong, please think carefully. Did your driver do anything unusual? The man who was being questioned had a face full of anger. You keep asking this question over and over again. I said no. Are you done? When will this case be solved? This was the deceased's husband, Dong Chun. Mr. Dong, the police are working hard, but please cooperate with the investigation, okay? Haven't I cooperated with your investigation? With one call from you, I left an important company meeting and came over. But what about you? It's the same questions over and over again. There's no progress at all. Mr. Dong, don't talk to me. Ask your leader to come out. Before the police officer could answer, a calm voice interrupted. The leader is very busy. Dong Chun looked at the person who spoke and frowned. Who are you? The granddaughter of one of the Dong Group's competitors. Shi Shang spat out these words slowly. Dong Chun was a little stunned. It took him a while to understand. You're Qin Yu? The only real competitor of Dong's was the Li family, and the Li family only had one granddaughter. It was not difficult to guess. Li Lan's husband was Qin Yi, so it was not surprising that his daughter was here. Shi Shang nodded slightly with a faint smile on his face, but his eyes were calm. Dong Chun frowned slightly. He had seen Qin Yu before, but there were too many people at that time, so he did not remember what the girl looked like. But at this time, the girl in front of him was too calm. Is the efficiency of your police station so slow? Dong Chun barely suppressed his anger, ignored the police officer next to him, and talked directly to Shi Shang. Indeed, it's a little slow. Shi Shang nodded in agreement. Dong Chun almost choked on his saliva. Is she a police officer or not? The police officer next to him was also speechless. Their efficiency is low. You do it. It's easy for you to talk. Mr. Dong, do you want to hurry up? Dong Chun sneered a little disdainfully. What can Miss Qin do? Even if your father is Qin Yi, he can't give you too many special rights. Dong Chun's words surprised the people next to him a little. Most people only knew that Shi Shang had a background, but they didn't expect that she was the daughter of the director. Well, both of them had the surname Qin. The main reason was that there were several people with the surname Qin in the bureau. No one thought of Qin Yi. After all, Qin Yi looked like a very fair person. He didn't look like someone who would let his daughter go through the back door. It's really unexpected that you can't judge a book by its cover. Shi Shang looked at Dong Chun with a faint smile. Mr. Dong, you don't have to provoke me. I'm not that stupid. You made a scene in front of the media before. Didn't you want to drag my father into the water? Now you want to provoke me. Mr. Dong, you're playing a good trick. Qin Yi was the son-in-law of the Li family. If there was any negative news about him, the Li family would also be implicated. Damn it, bitch. Chapter 959. Dong Chun's expression darkened when he was exposed. Before he could flare up, Shi Shang spoke again. Mr. Dong, if you really love your wife and child, you would either be drunk or at the news agency right now. But you're actually in the mood to attend a meeting and even want to scheme against the Li family. From this, it can be seen that your wife and child are just so-so in your heart. The surrounding people in the background all looked at Dong Chun strangely. The Dong family and the Li family were competitors. Everyone knew that in their jobs, they would have to deal with these big companies. However, they didn't think about the business aspect of this matter at all. Shut up. Are you angry because I guessed correctly? Shi Shang smirked. I was just guessing. Mr. Dong, you don't have to be so agitated. Dong Chun was speechless. This woman. Shi Shang smiled at him. Mr. Dong, can you cooperate with the investigation now? Dong Chun was an experienced businessman. He had only lost his composure because Shi Shang didn't play by the rules. Now that he had calmed down, he immediately resumed his business elite mode. What do you want to know? He didn't take the initiative to tell them. Instead, he asked them what they wanted to know. He had the initiative firmly in his hands. Shi Shang shrugged. I don't want to know anything. Dong Chun was speechless. If you don't want to know anything, why are you interfering? Mr. Dong, I have a few questions to ask you. UAI appeared out of nowhere and stood in front of Shi Shang. Dong Chun was so angry that his chest hurt. After a while, he said, Ask away. Mr. Dong, did you go to Furong House on September 5th? Dong Chun thought for a while. Yes, I went to congratulate my business partner, Shang Sheng. Did you bring your wife along? Dong Chun shook his head. No, I went alone that day. Dong Chun felt that something was wrong and immediately asked, Why are you asking this? UAI took out a few photos from her laptop. This is the surveillance footage of Furong House on September 5th. Your wife went there on that day. Did she mention that she would go there? Dong Chun took the photo. Because the camera's resolution wasn't very high, the photo was a little blurry. However, for someone who had lived with him for a long time, Dong Chun recognized that the person in the photo was his wife. What is she doing here? Dong Chun frowned. From the photos, she seemed to be very nervous. Her actions were also very suspicious. No matter how he looked at it, she seemed a little abnormal. UAI observed Dong Chun's expression and slowly said, "According to our investigation, she should have followed you. Mr. Dong, why did the deceased follow you to Hibiscus House?" Dong Chun's expression immediately became surprised. "You're saying, she followed me?" UAI nodded slightly. "But I asked her before I went. She said that I wouldn't take her if she didn't go. Why did she follow me?" Dong Chun looked even more confused than the police on their side. Crunch, crunch. "Maybe she thinks you're keeping a mistress and wants to catch you in the act," Shishang said while munching on melon seeds. "Miss Chin, please don't say such things again." Dong Chun scolded coldly. "I love her very much, but ever since she gave birth, she has been suspicious." Dong Chun's statement was consistent with the deceased's doctor's statement. After giving birth, the deceased suffered from postpartum depression. Shishang looked at Dong Chun with a faint smile. Dong Chun felt very uncomfortable. He felt that his gaze was penetrating. "That's all I know. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. If you need anything, you can contact my lawyer." Dong Chun just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Dong Chun left in a hurry. UAI looked at the statement in her hand. She seemed to be puzzled by something. Her brows were tightly knitted. Crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch. "Can you be quiet for a while?" UAI couldn't concentrate because of the noise of the melon seeds. She said to Shishang, "Crunch, crunch. It'll be quiet if you go out." UAI was furious. "This is a place to work, not a place for you to eat melon seeds." Shishang looked calm. "There's nothing in the rules that says I can't eat melon seeds in the office." When there was nothing to do in the bureau, these people would also eat melon seeds together. Why couldn't she eat them? "You're disturbing us." "You're disturbing me too." "What did I disturb you?" UAI gritted her teeth. "Eating melon seeds." UAI. Not only did Chin Yu's personality change, but his words were also more irritating than before. UAI glared at Shishang for a few seconds, then sat back angrily and tried to focus on the work in front of her. But the crunching sound never stopped. She packed up her things and went to the empty meeting room. Ding! Shishang's phone on the table lit up. Shishang glanced at it, threw away the melon seeds in his hand, clapped his hands, and picked up the phone to open a message. Receipt. Shishang exited the message, got up and walked out of the door. The old man in the mailroom was sorting out the package that had just been received. Seeing her come out, the old man immediately handed her a file bag. "Chin Yu, you're just in time. Here's your package." Shishang took the file from the old man and opened it directly. There was a USB flash drive and a magazine inside. Shishang rummaged through the contents and walked in with the stuff. When UAI came back, she saw Shishang sitting in his seat and reading the magazine carefully. She felt a little strange. Before, she was either playing games or eating melon seeds. Why was she reading so quietly now? When she came closer and saw what she was reading, her face immediately turned red. "Chin Yu, how can you read this in the office?" UAI scolded. "Fuck." Shishang was scared by the sudden scolding. His hands trembled. "What's wrong with you?" "I was scared to death." UAI pulled a long face and said seriously, "I'm not afraid of ghosts knocking on my door if I don't do anything wrong." UAI walked past Shishang. "Hey. I haven't even started to open the package yet. Why does the heroine like to bump into the muzzle of the gun? I must have met a fake heroine." Sure Shang was wondering if he had met a fake heroine when Xin called him into the office again. When Sure Shang raised his head, he saw Ai coming out of Xin's office. She glanced at Sure Shang and walked back to her seat with a straight face. Damn it, she's complaining again. Sure Shang was scolded by Xin for reading pornographic novels in the office. If it was someone else, they would have been scolded directly. My dear lady, I've troubled you. If you don't do anything, can you stop causing trouble for me? Xin had a headache. He just wanted to understand Dong Chun's case and catch R. What did I do? Sure Shang was innocent. She was just reading a book. Who was she bothering? You're a public official. What did you do when you read illegal books in the office? Fong Ci. Why would my wife rather read pornographic novels than look at me? Little fairy. You didn't even show up. Fong Ci. When do I show up? Little fairy. Not showing up. Fong Ci. Why? Little fairy. Because they don't vote. Cherub. Fancy ads rejected. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.